What's going on? Friday night football, baby. We about to get it on. Since we can't get along, let's get it on.
We're gonna kick back, relax, watch some football on a Friday night. It's Friday, and we're gonna be hard to tame. It's Friday, from coast to coast, the CFL is Canada's game. Well, we're all pumped up to party, and we're ready for a fight. Come on, kick back, relax, watch some Friday night football. Boys, it's been bad. The CFL football game is up for grabs. It's Friday night football tonight.
Well, earlier tonight on TSN, we were in Waterloo, Ontario. Now we're taking you out west of Vancouver, British Columbia, as Week 12 in the CFL kicks off under the big top, the Edmonton Eskimos and the BC Lions. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football. Hi again, everybody. Dave Randorf with you, along with Chris Schultz and Matt Dunnigan and Jock Climby. If you were with us for Game 1 of our Friday Night Football doubleheader, hope you enjoyed the CIS action. Now we're going to shift gears and put it in a high gear for a big Western Division matchup in the CFL. The Edmonton Eskimos on a real roll. Winners of 5 straight, a record of 9-2 in BC, where the Lions will have Damon Allen at quarterback, despite the fact that he had to leave last week's game against the Bombers with a hamstring injury. He's in there, and the Lions have won 4 of their last 5 jocks since Adam Rita took over as their head coach.
There's no question that Adam Rita deserves credit for what the BC Lions have done. But, you know, for a while now, I've wanted to pay tribute to Coach Barato and what he has done. You know, he took this team to a Grey Cup victory in 2000. He's cruising along. All of a sudden, he gets fired after a poor start this year. He could just go home, sit in his couch, and collect a paycheck. After a couple of weeks, he gets a visit from Steve Harden, apparently, who asks him to come back and coach the O-line. He puts aside his pride. He comes back and works when he could just sit home and get paid for nothing, and he is there working with this football team, and I think that hats off to him. There's not many coaches who would do that, Matty.
No, it's not. Steve Barato is a different human being. He's done a lot for that football team. My hat's off to you too, Steve. The BC Lions, talking to Adam Rita, they said, Adam gave me the spiel. He said, okay, defensively, we got to stop the big 3. Hervey, Vaughn, and Avery. I said, no kidding. And offensively, we got to make some plays. And special teams, we got to stop Winston October. I said, okay, enough, Adam, enough. All right, give me the goods. He says, all right, we want to attack Alfred Payton. We don't want to run away from him. Schultz, you know, run away from Alfred Payton, you're going to be in trouble. No, it doesn't work, because he's great at chasing. So what you've got to do is you've got to run right at him. And another man they're going to be looking at is Malcolm Frank on the corner, number 10. They want to be special. They want to be aware of where he's at. They like to sit on intermediate cuts, so they want to go vertical early, and they want to run right at Alfred Payton.
And I think that's smart to do. I think they got to make some plays on this Edmonton defense, because this Edmonton defense is not giving up a lot of big plays, and they're controlling line of scrimmage. But you know what they want to do to Damon Allen? They want to make him move, because Damon Allen has a very sore hamstring. You know what they want? They want him to put some torque on that hamstring, pop it right off the bone, because if they can do that, then Ricky Foggy goes in there. Ricky Foggy was 7 for 25 in his appearance against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Not good enough. What's BC going to do? They're going to pound that football, play action pass, try to protect Damon Allen. But they can't, because Edmonton's coming after him.
And one of the guys that'll be chasing Damon Allen around, Alfred Payton, as you talked about, sitting at 142 career sacks. His next sack will put him on the 2nd all-time career sack list. Tonight's starting quarterbacks brought to you by Wendy's, the official hamburger of the CFL, and week after week, the rookie Ricky Ray continues to get it done, starting in place of Jason Moss for the 4th straight game. And there he is, Damon Allen on bobblehead night. And speaking of bobbleheads,
I'm John Wells. It's Friday night in Vancouver, and the Lions are ready to roar.
I'm Glenn Suter. The S looking for their 6th win in a row on Damon Allen bobblehead night.
The kickoff is coming right up.
Wendy's Friday Night Football on TSN. is brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's Classic Double with Cheese is made fresh right when you order it. It's better here. By Molson Canadian. I am Canadian. And by Moore's Clothing for Men. Well made, well priced, well dressed.
It was another perfect fall day in Vancouver, and we're ready for the Lions and the Eskimos inside the stadium at BC Place. The Lions trying to regain the form they lost as they go on home turf tonight following 4 straight wins. There was that tough loss to Winnipeg on Sunday.
Edmonton Eskimos looking for their 6th win in the row. They haven't won 6 straight since 1989. Tom Higgins has been called an old school coach, and it makes sense because as a college athlete he went to North Carolina and was coached by the legendary Lou Holtz.
And Adam Rita has been around Grey Cup success since arriving in the Canadian Football League. He's won twice in BC, twice in Toronto, and once in Edmonton, looking for a three-peat in Vancouver this year. Matt Kellett set to kick it off for the Lions, who spotted the Blue Bombers a big lead on Sunday and didn't have quite enough to come back against a Winnipeg team that got a hot start.
Well, these Edmonton Eskimos have just been on fire. 5 straight wins. Their last loss back in week 6 versus the Montreal Alouettes. And like I just mentioned, it was 1989 the last time they won 6 in a row.
A great pair to run them back for the Eskimos this evening in Winston October and John Avery. And this one down for Avery. Across the 20. He's across the 30. Nice return out to the 37, 21 yards there. And here is the phenom, Ricky Ray, ready to run the Eskimos one more time, making his 7th start as the Eskimos' #1 signal caller, and the ratio is really outstanding. 15 touchdowns compared to 4 interceptions.
Jason Moss was injured versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders, hit by Shante Peoples, and has not been able to take that starting job back since.
And the interesting thing is that Ricky Ray got his start against the BC Lions. And that's where the magic began for the Edmonton Eskimos. 3 receivers to the near side on first down. Ray won't get it away this time. The ball is loose, and there are Lions all around it. Eric Carter says it belongs to the Lions, and he's right.
Early turnover, momentum for the home team. The Lions expecting their biggest crowd of the season here tonight in BC Place Stadium, and this is something that can get them fired up in a hurry. Ricky Ray has not turned the ball over a whole bunch since he's been the starting quarterback in Edmonton. He's hit. The ball goes down. Craig Powell comes up with the strip. I'm not sure who recovered the fumble.
So the Lions are set up nicely at the Eskimo 40. Here's Sean Millington around the corner. Damon Allen was unable to finish last Sunday's game in Winnipeg, and Ricky Foggy came in relief. He's got a tender hamstring, and so he's hoping he's going to be able to go the distance tonight.
His hamstring was bothering him before he started the Winnipeg game. It was very tight, he said, in warm-up. It wasn't a great night weather-wise in Winnipeg. It got real tight during the first quarter. He was basically out beginning of the second, but said he took reps the last 2 days in practice.
Millington has 5, 2nd and 5, and Allen puts it up. He's got Thelwell inside the 10-yard line. Ryan Thelwell. That was pretty.
Well, Jerome Peterson couldn't have been in better position on the coverage. I just don't think he knew the ball was going to arrive. Teammates have to call that ball call now. It's already kind of loud here in BC Place, and that ball just drops in to Ryan Thelwell with Jerome Peterson step for step.
A 29-yard gain, and look where the Lions are set up just outside the Edmonton Eskimo 6.
Certainly.
Claremont to the near side. This is the newcomer, and that's a touchdown for Deonce Whitaker.
What a start for the Lions.
And That's his second CFL touchdown, Glenn, but he's going to save that one as well.
Deontay Whitaker really hit the end zone without a whole lot of resistance from the Edmonton defense. A well-blocked play from the 7-yard line.
The Eskimo turnover is costly as Kellen adds the 7th point for the BC Lions. Deontay Whitaker from 6.5 yards out. It's 7-0 British Columbia.
Two good blocks got Deontay Whitaker into the end zone. First by Corey Mantika, who has to get outside of Alfred Payton and does. And then one right here from Sean Millington on 77, A.J. Gass. He's the kick-out block. You see that nice hook block there by Mantika. Kick-out from the big man, Sean Millington. And Whitaker's in the end zone.
Winston October returning for the Eskimos. This could be pretty. Got from behind by Badejo. 24 on the return. And Ricky Ray will try and atone for the fumble that cost the Eskimos the first touchdown of the game. Look at the targets he's got. Hervey and Vaughn and Tucker, the newcomer. And out of the backfield, John Avery. Tim Brinson was the lineman of the week, and he is definitely the leader for the Edmonton Eskimos up front.
And Leo Groenwagen back in that starting role, the right guard position.
Avery for 5.
Brendan Badejo in that front 7 has started for 4 games now, and it's because of his work on special teams. Tyrone Williams starts for Cameron Legault, which was a coaching decision made just yesterday. In the secondary, see Martin at the safety. Bo Lewis and Aaron Carter will be on the strong side of the field, or the wide side all game long. And when he played so well in special teams for the first few weeks of the year, Brendan Badejo got a chance to start and hasn't looked back.
Yeah, this is a great linebacking core they put together in BC. Gain of 5, 2nd and 5 for the Eskimos, and this will be enough for the first down. Terry Vaughn made the catch across the 50.
Well, this will be an interesting matchup because Terry Vaughn should see a whole bunch of Derek Bo Lewis, and this is a zone defense. So you're going to see a whole bunch of different players, including Tony Walker, get involved. But this will be a matchup we'll watch closely. Terry Vaughn normally goes to the wide side of the field where Derek Lewis usually lines up.
Fumble on the exchange, and the Lions are all over this one as well. Oh, boy. Back-to-back fumbles. Noah Cantor has that one.
Something that really hasn't been very characteristic of the Edmonton Eskimo quarterback Ricky Ray and this offense since Ray has been the starter is the turnovers. Tim Brinson and Ricky Ray have problems with the exchange. Ball hits the ground. Second turnover early in this one.
Carl Kidd recovered the first one, and Noah Cantor has the Lions set up just inside Edmonton territory. Allen with time. He has Anderson, and Brett Anderson should have the first down. Damon Allen nursing a troubled hamstring. Millington and Whitaker will run the ball, and Jackson and Claremont are the key receivers lately. Jamie Terrace thought about retirement, thought better of it, says maybe next year.
Well, he has said that this may be his, or should be his last season in Canadian football, and he is also the player rep for this team, so he's going through the negotiations with the league for a new CBA.
Slightly short of the first down, but that will be enough for Millington.
Starting defense front 7, Albert Reese having his best season. Kelvin Kinney starting opposite Alfred Payton, who leads the league in sacks so far. And in the secondary, one change because of the injury to Shannon Garrett. Jerome Peterson moves inside.
Starting lineups are brought to you by Midas. See Midas for all your car care needs.
Albert Reese, with 6 sacks, has quietly put together a tremendous year for Edmonton's defense. And because he's the guy in the middle there that has to take those double teams so guys like Alfred Payton can get one-on-ones off the edge and get all those sacks. And Albert Reese does a nice job on that play as well. He just takes the double team, controls the middle of the field, and leaves no place to run for the BC line.
Well, there was no running room there for Deontay Whitaker. It'll be second down and just over 10 yards. Loss of about a half a yard. 2 receivers to the near side, 3 to the far side of the field. Allen is back in a hurry, and he's on target. Geroy Simon dancing around for the first down. Quincy Coleman finally bringing him down.
Well, the good news for BC fans is that this man, Damon Allen, looks like that hamstring is good and strong. He steps back, drops back in that pocket, steps up strong, and throws a strike to the wide side of the field. A tough throw to make, and you got to use your legs when you're throwing the football. Out there to Geroy Simon. Looks like that hamstring is okay.
34th reception of the year for Geroy Simon. He picks up 17 there. And this BC drive continues now at the Edmonton 25. Nice play action fake by Allen. Far side. Fired high for Ryan Thelwell. Penalty marker is down.
The marker is right at the goal line. Geroy Simon was back in that area. Now, did he interfere or was he interfered with?
Legal contact on receiver, Edmonton number 26. First down.
Donnie Brady was covering Geroy Simon right back in the corner of the end zone.
So the Lions have another crack at it here. Whitaker grabbed by the shirt and then around the ankles as well by Alfred Payton, and there wasn't much for him there.
You saw Matt Dunnigan before the game talk about the fact that the Lions on their running game and running attack are going to try to attack Alfred Payton, and it's not a slight against Alfred Payton. It's just that as an offense, you're better off going after Payton than you are going away from him because he is so quick off the corner. And he's been so quick this year. In fact, he's got 10 sacks to lead the league.
So what you're saying is a lot of times he'll run you down from behind because of that speed. So go at him, right?
Go right at him.
Touchdown toss. Jackson was in the clear, and Allen missed him by about 2 yards. Boy, Alfred Jackson has played well since moving outside lately.
Well, he just took off when he played in that Montreal game 3 weeks ago. That was the first one to the wide receiver position, and this is just a little bit far for Jackson. As you can see, he had a step and a half on the coverage. Quincy Coleman was a step and a half behind, so Alfred Jackson had done his job. Damon Allen just missed him by a yard or 2.
Jason Crum will put it down, and Matt Kellett puts it through. So the Lions scoring their first 2 possessions after back-to-back fumbles by the Eskimos.
The crowd's in it in BC place.
Lions have jumped all over the Eskimos in the early going, turning 2 turnovers into 10 points.
Well, heading into the season, the Edmonton Eskimos were into this week, I should say, a +7 in the giveaway takeaway category. One of the reasons that they are 9-2 after 11 starts. But a couple of early fumbles have put them in a hole.
Winston October had a nice return the first time he got his hands on the ball. Well covered this time. Dropped at about the 32 by Jason Crum. 13 after a 57-yard kickoff.
Now, Ricky Ray, as a starter, has been a +6. And already one between his center, Tim Princeton, and himself, and the other on his own, stripped by Craig Powell, has put the ball on the ground twice and led to 10 BC Lion points in this first quarter.
We'll see what the highest percentage passer in the CFL can do now. First down, Edmonton. Ray gives it to Avery. Shifty, isn't he? Not much running room, but he can turn on a dime and give you change. 2 yards there.
Well, He has got tremendous foot speed, and it just may be the best in the league. As you can see, John Avery moving up the list. Of course, he didn't start till after week 4 because Ronald Williams started for the Edmonton Eskimos. So Avery catching up with the pack in a big hurry. And I was reading an article written in the paper in Edmonton this week about John Avery, and that he grew up running as a kid in the parking lot and on the road. And he said when you have to dodge cars, you learn how to move quickly.
To the near side, it'll be a first down Edmonton as Terry Vaughn brings that one in. Well, and as a result of practicing on the road, he's better on turf than he is on grass.
Well, and that's where you get the very quick feet, because you know, and that's some parked cars, but some are probably moving. So you're down the field catching that thing on the fly. And he actually was quoted in this article saying, you know, I saw some guys hit some parked cars and get pretty messed up. And when you see that, you really don't want, you want to avoid that.
Yeah, when the cars are moving, stepping out of bounds is key. Get up on the curb.
You get up out of bounds, and you know, that's where you get the quick feet, and he's got the quickest in the league. 16
yards for Vaughn and the Eskimos. Wrapped up in a hurry. Herman Smith comes up with a nice play there. And Avery had nowhere to go.
Well, and the way that the BC Lions are trying to handle John Avery early in this game is to try and string him out, not let him hit downhill and come this way, rather head out to the outside that way. And if you can string him out, watch Herman Smith take the block outside and force Avery to bounce it. Once he bounces to the outside, Herman Smith knows that his pursuit angles and all his friends are going to catch up, and they can make the tackle for him.
Loss of a couple. This is 2nd and 12. Edmonton.
Well, they called a timeout. Didn't like it.
And it's getting a little noisy in here for Ricky Ray.
Now, Ricky Ray took a look at the coverage and immediately turned around and said, no, this is the wrong formation, wrong personnel, wrong play for what we have in front of us defensively. Danny Machocha down on the sideline. Some advice along with Jason Moss, who of course they work very closely. Even though Jason Moss has been battling this injury bug a little bit since the Saskatchewan game, it hasn't taken him out of the preparation process and hasn't taken him out of the game mentally. Big part of helping Ricky Ray develop. Jason Moss on the sideline with a year under his belt, his experience.
Second and 12 Eskimos. Herbie to the near side. And flags are down. Be a procedure call going against Edmonton.
Procedure, Edmonton, number 67, still 2nd down.
Ricky Ray has got to start using body signals now, either with his arms or his hands or his legs, to start to get motion offensively because of the noise. They're expecting over 20,000 in here, which under the new configuration, although it may not look it at times in the big stadiums like this, it's very, very loud at field level and tough to audible vocally.
2nd and 17. Near side. Walters makes the catch, breaks one tackle, and gets close to a first down before he's forced out by Anthony Pryor. Spot will be all important to the Eskimos.
Well, Ricky Walters does a nice job of just keeping in bounds. This is the toughest part of this play. He gets pushed there by Toya Jones and then just sort of tiptoes down and make it close. But it won't be close enough.
Not close
about 3
enough.
or 4.
Yeah.
Ricky Walters, of course, a graduate of Simon Fraser University, now in the CIS, and sort of a homecoming for Ricky Walters. He's come back to BC.
Fleming gets it high. Chris Wright, first punt return as a BC Lion. Stopped at the 25. Roger Reinson leading the Eskimos special teams tacklers. It's BC on top by 10. Damon Allen, the BC Lions have had a nice hot start on a special night for the BC quarterback. Here's Farhan.
Thanks, John. This is what all the fuss is about. They're giving these away to the first 3,000 fans aged 12 and under. The Lions front office was in a real panic when they thought Damon might not play because of his injured hamstring. Apparently, it was too late to change this to a bobble leg doll. I asked Damon before the game if he was healthy. He said close to 100%. And one of his linemen, Steve Harden, is waiting for his bobblehead to come out, although he feels if it does, it has to be a bobble gut.
A.J. Gass making the tag on the far hand. Make that head bobble a little bit there.
There you go.
I could do this too.
Yeah, that's better.
Well, it is a big promotion, and one of the reasons they feel that they're going to get their biggest crowd and will get their biggest crowd of the year here in BC Place. And, you know, the hope is when you tie in a promotion like that, and it's great for the kids to get one of these dolls, and some of the bigger kids, too.
I saw you snap yours out at practice yesterday.
Yeah, I got one early.
Allen to the far side on second, and a bunch necessary, and stopped short of the first. Brett Anderson by Quincy Coleman. Go on.
But what you want to do, though, once you have these great promotions with the bobblehead, which gets the kids all excited about the game, and is you want to have the good performance to back it up. And the Lions have got the great start to get the fans in it, and that's the start they needed here tonight.
Well, let me correct that. There is enough territory for the first down, as the Lions are out near the 40-yard line. Sean Millington. Better than 5 before he ran into Kevin Powell. And Kevin Powell is into the lineup for the second straight game in relief of Terry Ray.
And you wonder how much that will hurt the Edmonton defense with Sean Millington running the football again. And with Millington as the power back and Deontay Whitaker the quick back. And now you take your best defensive player and Terry Ray out of the lineup. It's got to be a concern for Tom Higgins.
Millington picked up 7. Second and 3. Nice play action fake by Damon Allen to the near side. And short of the first down, Simon made the catch, but he was wrapped up quickly. And he picks up just 2 yards.
Steve Harden talked about maybe he gets a bobblehead, or like Farhan said, maybe a bobble belly. He's going to be the pulling guy. Now, Steve Harden does not make a block here, but this is fun to watch the big man just get to the outside there. That was like 4 or 5 big strides. And that bobble belly was right out in front of him. Steve Harden, I think, you know, the big guys should get their own bobblehead every now and then.
You need some kind of star status over a period of time.
Well, if you ask a quarterback, though, the stars to the quarterback are the big boys up front. Those are the stars to those guys. Maybe not to the average fan.
I know. Damon in his 18th CFL season. He seemed pretty excited about receiving the honor of being bobbled.
Yeah, that is pretty neat, isn't it? To be able to have your own bobblehead. And like I said earlier, when I first got the bobblehead, you know, as a kid, you always dream of playing in Super Bowls and Major League Championship, World Series, but never do you envision ever having your own bobblehead. And wow, it really comes true.
See, did you dream of having a bobblehead someday?
I still do.
Oh.
But, you know, that's interesting because, of course, Marcus Allen, Damon's brother, still works at CBS, and Deion Sanders is down at CBS. Damon Allen sent down a bobblehead to his brother, and it may be on the show on Sunday.
So watch for that.
Yeah.
This weekend. Winston October, the lone man back for the Eskimos as Martino stands in across his 35. Keeping it away from October. Nice little roll, and there'll be no play on this one. Nicely kicked by Martino. 37-yard punts. No return. 1st and 10 Edmonton when we return. The Eskimos are down by 10, beginning back at the 25. This is Terry Vaughn around the corner. Stops by Eric Carter.
Well, Terry Vaughn made a wise decision because he had a split second to decide whether or not he was going to come inside or if he was going to run outside. And you're going to see 26 bearing down. That's Carl Kidd, who's already got a fumble recovery tonight. There he goes right over the top. Just a flash as Carl Kidd flies over the top, and he's having a great season. 4 interceptions, leads the team in tackle after Barron Simpson, of course, who leads the league in tackles. He's number 2. Carl Kidd's making an impact. He was on the fly there.
Gain is 5. Oh, almost going the other way for 6. As Derek Lewis got one hand on it.
Hey, that's film work. That's what that is. That's what breaks down when these guys look at the film. And Derek Lewis is one of those players who becomes a student of the game. He's seen this formation. It was the right down and distance. It was the right setup formation-wise. He saw Terry Vaughn back up, and he was gone. And if he gets both hands on it, which he almost did, he's in the end zone.
Thank you.
You wonder how film work can help you in a game? Well, that's where it helps right there. Recognition.
Fleming. High kick. Coming down to Chris Wright, waiting at the 30. Lions were hoping that the combination of Wright and Deontay Whitaker would provide them with a little more special teams yardage.
You know, with Bo Lewis, he recognizes this. You can't come out of your break this quickly. Watch Lewis just take off downhill. He recognizes Terry Vaughn just kind of slide like that. He's seen that before. And Ricky Ray had no choice but to throw the football because Barron Simpson, who leads the league in tackles, was in the backfield in a heartbeat. So the combination of Barron Simpson and Bo Lewis, and you have no play. In fact, very nearly an interception going the opposite way.
I think they were lucky there. Eskimos fell behind against the Blue Bombers 17-0 last week. It could have been 17-0 here. As it is, 10-0, and Thelwell was the target of Damon Allen. Malcolm Frank, who's playing exceptionally well for the Eskimos, providing the coverage there.
Yeah, and he did a nice job of slowing down Ryan Thelwell on the second move. Damon Allen pump faked to Thelwell, who ran a little bit of an out pattern, just down and then turned to the outside quickly. Tried to fool Frank, tried to have Frank jump up, and quite frankly, he wasn't being fooled. Turned back, held up Ryan Thelwell, didn't let him go by.
Frank took a couple of years off, but he didn't forget a thing, obviously. 2nd and 10. Pump fake Allen. Alfred Jackson went high, couldn't bring it down. Talked about Jackson shifting to the outside to get Jason Claremont a little more time. And he's playing slot back now.
He comes into the middle, and when you go into that area, the safety in this play is Singor Mobley. You go into the middle there, you've exposed those ribs, and you can see how quickly he made an effort for the ball. He exposed himself. It was over the top of his fingers, but he did not come down with it with Mobley coming in. That's
a wise decision.
Yeah. Remember Singor Mobley on Labor Day sealed the deal versus the Calgary Stampeders.
54-yard touchdown return in the dying moments. Not for the winning points, but enough to make it a victory over Calgary. Here's Winston October away from one. Reversing his field. He's got room to the near side. Kelly Lockbaum limited it to an 8-yard return.
Hey, the leader in special teams tackle, Brendan Iambadejo, turns him around and gives him a chance. Look at this. He
slowed him there.
Tried to collar him, slowed him down, but actually spun him around to where there was more room for October to the opposite side.
And then Jason Crum and Kelly Lockbaum combined on the tackle.
The guys are flying around right now, including Brendan Iambadejo. He better get that mouth guard right in the mouth, not on top of the helmet.
Last play of the quarter. Ricky Ray to the far side. Halfway to a first down. Wendell Davis gets his hands on the ball for the first time. And that is the final moments of the opening quarter. Very solid beginning for Damon Allen and the BC Lions, turning turnovers into a 10-point lead.
Yeah, you probably heard Glenn Suter say during that first quarter that the Edmonton Eskimos came into this game as one of the top teams in terms of takeaway giveaway ratios. +7 in that category, but 2 turnovers on their first 2 possessions, Matt, that led to the 10 BC points.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic of the Edmonton Eskimos, but going to BC Place, they haven't been very successful there. They've lost the last 3 times facing the Lions in BC Place. And the first quarter doesn't start out very well for Edmonton. Ricky Ray drops back in the pocket, is forced to step up, and then Craig Powell, Ohio State product, comes up with the fumble, causing the fumble there, and then this man, Deontay Whitaker, follows the offensive line and Millington into the end zone. Great start for the BC Lions, getting 10 points off of 2 Edmonton Eskimo turnovers, Chris.
Maddie, when things go good, that's the time to worry, and Edmonton has to worry because they're not playing with the same intensity that they did previously in their back-to-back victories over Calgary. They're just not concentrating on the little things, and in a lot of ways, they're getting out-hit in this game. You see Carl Kidd, forearm to the head, takes Vaughn's head off, and the little do-rag he had on. Then you watch this. Look at, well, how about Herman Smith stretching that play out, making a negative play? That was an awesome play by a very good defensive end. I just see Edmonton not in this game as much as the BC Lions are.
Well, Edmonton did something a little bit strange to me in that they ran the same play twice in a row. And there's 2 schools of thought. Sometimes you just run the same play twice in a row because if they haven't stopped it, then go ahead and keep doing it until they do stop it. And the other school of thought is, no, don't let the defense figure out what you're doing. Here's what this play is designed to do. A little screen here. These 2 guys are supposed to block these 2 guys. And this play is good for some positive yardage. And Edmonton, Danny Machach on the sideline says, oh, well, that worked for 7 yards there. Let's try it again. You can't do this twice in a row on this particular play. Bo Lewis here has just seen the same thing happen on the one side of the field. He will not let it happen again on his side.
Remember, the only team to have beaten the Montreal Alouettes, the BC Lions. They've proven they can beat the big boys before. Lots of football left here, though.
It's Wendy's Friday Night Football as we get set for the second quarter at the stadium at BC Place. The Eskimos trying to get back in this, looking at 2nd down and long. And on the money that time for Terry Vaughn is Ricky Ray. He had all kinds of time. Eric Carter got over to make the tackle.
Well, he did have lots of time. That was the key to the play because Terry Vaughn was trying to weave his way into the middle of a zone defense versus BC. But the boys up front do their job, stopping that 4-man rush in its tracks, and Ricky Ray has a chance to just sit back there, wait for Terry Vaughn to open up, and then hit him in the second hole of the zone.
Biggest play of the night for the Eskimo offense, a gain of 22 yards. Set up 1st and 10 at the 35. Avery stopped initially by Herman Smith. He got away from that and turns it into a 2-yard gain when it should have been at least a couple of yards on the losing side of the ledger.
Well, when you look at the first quarter numbers, I would think maybe this is the one that jumps out to me. The way the Lions are playing defensively against the run, John Avery and the Edmonton Eskimos, if you can hold to 7 1/4, you're going to win more games than you lose. Now, they got the 2 turnovers that turned to 10 points. But if John Avery doesn't get going, it puts more pressure on Ricky Ray.
Gain of 2, 2nd and 8. Flags are down. Could be a free play for Ricky Ray. There's the toss down to the 1-yard line. And Hervey has his first of the night. We'll see what the infraction is.
I thought Carl Kidd had jumped offside. He was trying to show blitz. It looked like he jumped into that neutral
Offside.
zone.
BC number 26, decline.
You got it, partner.
This will stand. Carl Kidd was trying to time it up. You see him right in here inside that neutral zone. He was inside that yard. That was the free play from Ray. He gets smacked from Barron Simpson as he delivers the ball, and Ed Hervey just wins the jump ball in the end zone on Anthony Pryor.
Hervey comes down with it. Hey. So the Eskimos are on the board after a 33-yard touchdown reception by Ed Hervey. Just got in across the line. Ed Hervey has his 6th touchdown reception of the season.
Now the BC Lions don't want Ed Hervey to get going. Remember, Hervey against the Lions, that was his first game back, and he had 5 for 129 and 2 touchdowns versus BC, so they know a whole bunch about Ed Hervey.
And he's a Lion tamer with 5 touchdowns against the Lions last year. Chris Wright for the Lions hops across the 30 to the 31.
Well, Ed Hervey does a nice job on this touchdown to get position so that he can win the jump. Here he is on the outside. Now we're going to roll it for a second. Watch it. He runs his post pattern. I'll show you the mistake Pryor makes. Hold it right there. Pryor, rather than make up ground this way, he fades back. Watch Pryor's first couple of steps as he fades back and then creates about a yard of space between Hervey and himself, and that allows Hervey to have position and then win that jump ball.
I think it's important for the BC Lions to respond here. They don't necessarily have to score, but the early scoring for the Lions came off turnovers. They have to drive this football a little bit and retain a little better field position. Here's Whitaker. And Kelvin Kinney has Deontay Whitaker all wrapped up.
Well, I would agree 100% with you, John, because when you look at Edmonton's start to this game, Ricky Ray looked like a mere mortal in the first quarter. They put the ball on the ground twice, but they only give up 10, not 14. And then they come back early in the second with that touchdown. So if you're on the road and the momentum the home team had to start the game, I think if you're the Edmonton Eskimos now, you're feeling pretty good about things.
I would think you are. It's a 3-point game. You're on the road. You're playing at BC Place. And on that previous play, the Lions were held to less than a yard. Here's Allen. Here's the Heats. And Allen is wrapped up.
Singor Mobley, they run so
Mobley
many.
is there again.
So many different formations. Singor Mobley, you remember that Alfred Jackson post pattern that was thrown high in the first quarter? Mobley at that time was playing way back here. This time he's up on the line of scrimmage. Another change up from the Edmonton defense. He comes off the edge. No one blocks him, and Damon Allen has no chance.
All day. Let's keep it up now. Keep it up. Keep it up. Let's go.
And it will be all-day problems for BC if they don't block Singor Mobley off the edge.
Martino on third down Lions. Just outside his 10-yard line. Near the 13. Good kick for Martino. Flags are down as Winston October is tossed to the turf, and leading the charge there was Sean Millington. 0 on the return. We'll sort out the penalties when we return. Nowhere to run for Mr. October. Argos will try and make it 2 in a row as they move into Taylor Field against the Rough Riders on Sunday afternoon. Coming your way on Wendy's CFL Live, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock out here on the West Coast.
Well, both those teams watching this one closely, I'm sure, because of the crossover in the playoffs. Toronto really competing with Saskatchewan and BC and Calgary, as well as the teams in their division.
Eskimos with good field position on the return and the penalty. John Avery was wrapped up by
Well, the Lions have been able to bottle up John Avery so far. And I say so far because with his quickness, sooner or later, he's going to get outside and get an angle on someone. Now, it's tough to get an angle on Barron Simpson, who leads the league in tackles and is always around the football. But you know, John Avery has the speed to do it against the best of them.
It's a second down, Edmonton. Over the middle. Terry Vaughn from Ricky Ray, and Ray is back on the money.
I'll show you Terry Vaughn. You know, how many times have you seen receivers, even at the pro level, in a play like this, take the football into the middle and watch as he catches this and doesn't peek forward. He looks at the ball all the way in. Once he has it, he turns the corner. How many times have you seen a receiver on a play just like that catch it and peek down the field before he does and then drop the football? Terry Vaughn secured it first, securing his position in the CFL.
Terry Vaughn made a couple of big blocks in that game on Friday night last at Commonwealth against the Stampeders. Nice play action fake. Throws everyone. Oh! He got him in midair. Eric Carter. On the newcomer, Jason Tucker.
Wow. Now that's a clean hit from Eric Carter, who had no idea whether Tucker was going to be able to come down with that.
Tucker's one tough cowboy.
Well, he is, and Jason Tucker, I think, relaxed on the play, thinking it was overthrown, and when he did, he was hammered.
Eskimos at the BC 25. 2nd and 10. Ray looked for Avery sliding out of the backfield. Just got away from Cameron Legault to throw the ball.
It'll be very interesting to see if this hit affects Jason Tucker, who's a pro, and he's taken many of these in his career in the NFL and the CFL. But hits like that have a tendency to affect the receiver down the road. And the next time he comes across the middle, will he think twice about where Eric Carter was? He's trying to shake it off, but we'll watch Jason Tucker, see if that affects him a little later in this game. I would guess not.
I would imagine you're correct there. Sean Fleming hitting on 86%. Moss will put it down. Fleming is wide with this one. And a chance for a tie doesn't materialize for the Eskimos.
They're discussing things. Moss had his back to us at the broadcast position, but I think he bobbled that football a little bit.
Well, it is bobblehead night. Those things happen.
I hear you, partner.
A miss for Fleming. It's 10-8. Jason Moss had a little trouble with that last field goal try.
Yeah, here's sort of the view that we have, and you see how he's messing with the football. It looks like he's almost trying to relace it. Took him too long. That ball has to get down there and be clean. First catch, down on the tee, spin those laces around, all in about a second and a half.
David Allen got it away for Sean Millington, faked it to Millington first and then fired a short one to him, but Kevin Powell read it well, and there's very little gain.
Well, Kevin Powell and Alfred Payton weren't buying the fake, and that's why he had to dump it off right away to Millington, and Powell was there for the tackle. If Payton takes the fake, now Damon Allen has time to look down the field, but Payton did not buy what Damon was selling.
142 career sacks for Alfred Payton, 10 on this season. Second down, Allen unloads it in a hurry. This is Alfred Jackson. And he's about a yard shy of first down territory. Quincy Coleman had him cornered there. And Jackson couldn't get around.
You mentioned Alfred Jackson and his production as a wide receiver, how it's changed. It allows him to do plays like this where he can get slot backs like Brett Anderson and big Jason Claremont out there to block for him. And when you look at the numbers, drastically different for Jackson as a wide receiver starting in Montreal. 3 games, 347 yards, 5 touchdowns. As a slot back in 5 games, 1 touchdown, 172.
Yeah, and the move to the outside for Alfred Jackson was made to get Jason Claremont into the starting lineup, and they haven't really looked in his direction so far tonight.
But see, Claremont can help block from inside because he's such a physical player. And then they get Alfred Jackson out in some more space where he can use his great speed.
Third down, and Martino is behind this. Winston October may not have a play. Bouncing out at the 40-yard line. No return there. 1st and 10 Edmonton. When we return to the stadium at BC Place. Another bobble for Ricky Ray, and he got it back that time. On the exchange, it was first down. Eskimos near the 40.
Yeah, it looked like Ricky Ray pulled out of there in a hurry. You watch him right in the middle of your screen, right behind that post, and kind of turned his head. Tim Princeton was trying to pull to his left this way quickly, and when he did, that exchange just was not clean, and Ray just had to jump on it.
2nd and 10 Edmonton. Ray may not get this away. Lost it again. Big charge was coming from Tony Walker.
Oh, they're gonna.
And the Lions get the ball.
Yeah, they do. Brendan Iambadejo took it right out of his hands on the second try.
First wave was Tony Walker, number 39.
You're right, John. Walker strips it off the edge here. There's Brendan Iambadejo, number 6. He gets blocked. There's Walker, knocks it out. Now Ray gets it back, and then Iambadejo takes it out of his hand. You see it in the left arm.
Almost like a handoff.
Of a Brendan Iambadejo. There it is. Coming off the edge with some pressure. And this will be the 3rd turnover in the first half for the Edmonton Eskimos.
And the Lions have 10 points off the previous 2, a touchdown followed by a field goal. Lions are set up at the Eskimo 35, first down. Good fake by Allen, far side. He's got Jackson away from one defender. And Jackson finally forced out by Jackie Kellogg. Not before he's inside the 10. This guy's playing a whale of a game again tonight.
Let's go, baby.
Leads the league in special teams tackles and made a special play. This pass from Damon Allen to Alfred Jackson brings him back to the football and gives him an angle on Quincy Coleman to turn up the field. That's the quarterback giving the receiver a chance to make a play after the catch.
And the safety, Jackie Kellogg, had to move over to make the tackle and save a touchdown. So here the Lions set up 1st and goal to go at the Eskimo 8. Tough slugging there.
You know, Damon Allen looked
a gain of 2 for Millington.
Looked like he wanted a quick count. The Edmonton Eskimos, in other words, go right on the first sound he makes at the line of scrimmage, but I don't think his own team was lined up. They walked to the line quickly. Jason Claremont's barely there in time. Steve Harden, I don't think, was even set, and he snapped the ball, and the play really didn't have a chance to develop because of it. Quick count can often catch the defense napping, but you can fool yourself as well.
3 receivers to the near side on 2nd down and goal to go. Damon Allen missed the target, looking for G-Roy Simon, who jumped high, couldn't get a hand on it.
And that's just under the category of Damon Allen saying, I want one back. G-Roy Simon is there, and it looked like Damon Allen maybe rushed the throw a little bit, maybe felt a little pressure up the middle. And you can see Coleman had got pushed back from the rub, was not in position to make the tackle. G-Roy Simon scores if Allen gets it on the money.
So after the turnover and the 27-yard gain by Alfred Jackson, the Lions are going to be a little upset at settling for a field goal try here. Chip shot from 13. And Matt Kellett has that.
You know, and Damon Allen has played so well under Adam Rita, and when you look at the changeover from when Steve Barato was the head coach, he's now the offensive line coach back in the organization. But Allen under Rita has been a drastic difference. In 5 games under Rita, 64.4%, averaging 253 yards a game. And look what it was under Barato. Now, you never, as a veteran of 18 years, want to rely on your coach to motivate you or anything. But for whatever reason, Damon Allen's playing better under Adam Rita.
Yeah, but then look back 2 years and what he did under Barato when Barato came in, right?
Yeah. And maybe
went all the way and won the Grey Cup. And well, it's tough to figure out this BC Lion football team at times, Glenn, as you know only too well.
Living here, you're talking.
Yes, I am.
You read the occasional article on
Well, yes, lots of talent usually. Here's Vaughn. Hit hard as he made the catch. Manny Martin made the tackle, but it's plenty for a first down.
Brendan Iambadejo in the game versus Winnipeg had an interception and had a chance to be the hero. The ball ended up on the turf, fumbled. Winnipeg ends up walking away with it. At the time, it was a 6-point game, and he said in the newspaper afterwards, he said, I had a chance to be the hero and I dropped the ball. He wants to make up for it here tonight. You can tell he's flying around.
John Avery, left side, wants for the first down. This guy can flat out fly. Still going. This is John Avery. Excitement at its best. Touchdown Eskimos.
Wow. There's the foot speed. And what a block by Bruce Beaton.
Everyone in Edmonton will tell you that he is the best running back in the league, and he'll get votes elsewhere after people see this particular display.
Look at the cutbacks. 2, 3 times he changed directions, and he did it in a split second. There was no gearing down for John Avery. When he takes a corner, he doesn't go from 5th down to 3rd or 2nd. He stays in 5th.
A 61-yard touchdown run for John Avery. As the Eskimos take the lead for the first time.
You know those guys when they get in the car, right, and they're in the 5th gear and they're down the straightaway, that's one thing. But when you have to change directions or turn a corner, you have to gear down. Well, Avery doesn't have to because of the foot speed. Watch this cut. Very little change in acceleration for John Avery. He just keeps accelerating on every single cut. Makes it awful difficult defensively to try and corral a running back with foot speed like that. Bruce Beaton gets the key block right there, guys. He ties up Brendan Iambadejo just long enough to get John Avery to the outside. Watch big 62 chip off here. He's going to be to the right of your screen as he appears right there. And you can see how he's got Iambadejo all tied up. In fact, Iambadejo wanted a holding call, wasn't going to get it, and then the foot speed of John Avery gets him in the end zone. You dodge cars as a kid, you get that foot speed.
You're talking about playing street football.
That's right. Now, and for all the young kids listening to this game, you don't try that at home.
Yancey Whitaker lost his footing crossing the 26. Mike Bradley was there to pin him. What a run by this guy, John Avery.
John Avery did it because he grew up in a very low-income housing district, and because of that, had no field to run on. So that's why he did it out on the asphalt with the parked cars. But kids, you know, don't try that. That's not a smart deal. Go to a field and work on your foot speed. You can get it like this, you got a chance.
I don't know that I've heard his speed listed as in 4.4, 4.2.
Well, sometimes your 40 time won't represent your speed when you get in the field and football speed. And I'm not sure right off the top of my head what John Avery's 40 time is. It's got to be decent.
Well, they haven't talked about it, Glenn, so I guess that's what I'm saying here. Jason Claremont has his first reception of the game. And it's a big one.
I guarantee you, #1 draft pick in the NFL, which John Avery was, he's got a good 40 time. And Jason Claremont has a pretty good one for a man that's twice John Avery's size, as you could see the way he ran down the middle of the field there.
Claremont, 6'3", 236, reminds a lot of people of Ray Elgard. Damon Allen had nowhere to go with a toss there, and he's sacked for the second time. Eskimos have come back to take the lead. It's 15-13 at BC Place. Hot start for the Lions. They're down by a couple. We're getting close to halftime, and the guys are warming up in the studio.
Well, you talk about 40 times. You got Climby had a good 40 time. Schultze for alignment, I'm sure, was a speedster. Dunnigan, you know, could run. And then the other guy at the left, Dave Randorf, I mean, his 40 time I've heard is like forever.
Here's David Allen on 2nd and 12, and he's picked.
Kevin Powell gets the interception. Steve Charbonneau should get the assist, and that defensive line for Edmonton was just harassing Damon Allen, because this is a ball that he looked like, to me, he threw right to Powell.
They got to him on back-to-back plays here, Glenn.
I mean, that ball was right in between the 4 and the 0. But look at the harassment. Damon Allen has to step up. The pocket closes down. Charbonneau's right there. He sees Charbonneau's pulling on his waist. Alfred Payton's right in front of him, and as he throws it around from Payton, throws right to Powell.
2.5 minutes till halftime. Eskimos have bounced back from a 10-0 deficit. Ray found Ed Hervey well short of a first down.
Taking advantage of the situations that are presented to you in the game. Tom Higgins has got to go in at halftime now, no matter what happens on this drive. Very happy with what's happened here in the first half. 3 turnovers from Edmonton should have turned into 21 points for the Lions. Instead, they got just 13. The Edmonton defense held when they had to. And now they have a chance to add to their lead with 2 minutes, 14 seconds left.
And to get back and take the lead, the Eskimos have come up with big plays, like the 61-yard touchdown run And how about almost there? Rick Walters was covered by Carl Kidd, but that was close.
You know, Adam Rita goes in and says Carl Kidd's playing great. You get tremendous play out of Baron Simpson. Brendan Badejo has played well. He'll go in at halftime to his defense and say, guys, you're doing the right things. You're turning the football over. You're putting us in good position. And then turn around to the other side of the room and go, hey, we need to have a little meeting, boys. And then he's talking to the offense now and say, guys, you get the ball inside the 30 on a turnover, you have momentum. It's got to be Majors.
Chris Wright, the lone back, ready to accept this. And Wright bounces to the outside. Grabbed from behind by Roger Reinson. So 153 for Damon Allen to work with till halftime. And the Eskimo cheer group is in town for this one. NFL on Sunday, Oakland and Pittsburgh. 7:30 Eastern time.
Now, you know, I always like to find our little CFL connection to a lot of these NFL games, and there's one in Pittsburgh with the Steelers and Tom Clements, the quarterback coach for Cordell Stewart in Pittsburgh. And
didn't have a big week last week to do it, did they?
No, he didn't, but he has been credited in a lot of ways for Cordell Stewart's play last season and how vastly improved he has been, with the exception of last week.
Millington escapes. Good run for Sean Millington to the 40-yard line, and he has yet to crank a big one.
Well, remember we talked about John Avery, and we said with Avery, the defense for the Lions were doing well for now. Millington's in the same boat now. They're in the for now stage with Millington and with Whitaker.
4 touchdowns against the Ticats, you might recall.
Yeah, right here. BC Place.
Should have been 5, some think.
Could have been. Damon Allen on the 1-yard line took a sneak in after the 4.
But in fairness, the Lions weren't exactly counting CFL records at the time, which would have been a tie if he'd made the 5th one. Chris Wright makes his first reception, and he'll be short of the first down. Jackie Kellogg stopping Wright, who's finally found a way to get back into the lineup. Injuries have been a problem since he's been out on the West Coast and a member of the BC Lions.
A rough road back for Chris Wright, who's played in Baltimore, and it's a tremendously exciting returner when he started out, and he reminded you of the Keith Stokes kind of guy when he got in there.
Only he was before Keith Stokes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the Keith Stokes of today, that's what he was back when he started, and he's had a rough road to come back. Winston October is another great example of a guy like that, and Lions hoping he can regain that form.
Big punt by Martino. Winston October had nowhere to run. So solid coverage by the Lions on special teams.
Badejo there again, along with Kelly Lockbaum, but Badejo leading the way. And I can't emphasize enough how difficult it is to cover a punt and then turn around and line up on defense 20 seconds later, because you have to make a 45-yard run and then line up on defense, and you can barely catch your breath, let alone move around, make tackles, and take on blocks like you'd have to do as a linebacker. That is very, very difficult. So the fact that he's starting on defense and leading the league in special teams tackles is truly incredible.
Just over a minute to go. Eskimos have one more crack at coming up with something here. We get a decent beginning. Badejo is there for the tackle one more time on John Avery. But Avery moves the sticks.
He's no longer in the for now, and Badejo is trying to get out of this half, get a little bit of a breather, because Avery's starting to roll a little bit. He had 5 carries for just 9 yards to start the game, then ripped off a 61-yarder, so he's past the for now stage.
Nice play developing for Ricky Ray here. He's got a target. Good coverage as Carter got over and deflected it away from Scott Robinson, who looked to be open for a split second, did he not?
I think Eric Carter, the veteran, was just baiting him. He had Robinson in control. Robinson maybe had a step on him, but Eric Carter knew how to gauge his speed, so when the ball was in the air, he could just burst on it and tip it away at its highest point. Now, it's an interesting scenario for the Lions. They have a chance here. What they may want to do is put 10 up on the line here. make sure they can get some pressure on Ricky Ray and get a quick stop, maybe get the ball back with a chance for a few plays offensively.
44 seconds till halftime. Ricky Ray looking at 2nd and 10. Trying to get it away, and penalty markers are down.
Well, this is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Lions. And not only did they get the sack, we'll see what the flag is.
Herman Smith getting credit there.
Now this may go against the Lions, which would end that thought.
Major foul, face mask, BC number 17, first down.
So no sack. And the Eskimos will continue with 37 seconds till the half.
Bo Lewis was coming on a blitz there and worked on Wendell Davis one-on-one. He can't believe he was called.
So now the Eskimos are out at the 52. Time ticking down to the first half. Edmonton clinging to a 2-point lead, and Ray goes for the bundle here into heavy coverage.
That was the I got it, you got it, I got it, no one's got it.
Hervey was the lone Eskimo, and he was surrounded by BC Lions.
Manny Martin, the safety, as Hervey goes down into the middle. Manny Martin, the safety, comes flying over to help out Anthony Pryor and Tony Walker. He's got a chance at it. I think he knocked it out of the hands of Tony Walker, and then Pryor almost had it on the bounce pass. Tucker has not seen the ball after that Eric Carter hit.
Well, he's not seen the Eric Carter hit yet either, I don't believe.
No, he hasn't. He'll have to wait till film time to see that. Vaughn and Hervey, really the only two receivers for Ricky Ray thus far.
Eskimos have done a nice job after giving up a 10-0 lead to the Lions. 26 seconds to go. Ricky Ray on the roll. As Walters, that'll be enough for a first down. 19 seconds to go, but he lost the ball.
Took it right out of his hands.
It's Carl Kidd, number 26. Ray had the ball. I should say Walters had the ball.
Well, really, this defense for the BC Lions has done everything except actually score with the football, because this will be the 4th turnover. And you see Carl Kidd pull it out. Ricky Walters thought that he was down first. Here's another look at it. He's holding them up. The ball comes loose. That's a great call by the officials. You were right on the spot. That ball was out before Ricky Walters hit the ground.
Uh-oh. 18 seconds till halftime. Allen won't get this one away. Damon Allen felt the big surge.
They talking about trade me.
And that was Alfred Payton providing the pressure and the commentary.
Well, Carl Kidd, you heard him say, and they talk about trading me. That's what he said on the bench there. In the newspaper here in Vancouver this week, Adam Rita tried to push a couple of buttons on
Give my 15 minutes of fame, too.
Carl
Hello,
Kidd
Mom.
and guys who have played well all season, but versus Winnipeg got some penalties that Adam Rita didn't like. Push some buttons on Carl Kidd, and he's flying around tonight. That entire linebacking core is. And that's what he was referring to on the bench.
So the Lions got 10 points off early turnovers for a big lead. But the Edmonton Eskimos have roared back to take a 2-point advantage into the dressing room at halftime.
Better not go away. We're going to have a great second half here in BC.
Yeah, we'll just watch John Avery. 61-yard touchdown. That was the play of the opening half.
At the Half is brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's Classic Double with Cheese is made fresh right when you order it. It's better here.
Well, yeah, I'd say that qualifies as a pretty good first half of football. Welcome back, everyone. Dave Randorf, Chris Schultz, Matt Dunnigan, and Jock Climby. The Edmonton Eskimos come alive in the first half, and the BC Lions must be scratching their heads a bit. They force 4 turnovers against the 9-2 Eskimos, yet they find themselves trailing by 2. The Eskimos get the lead on the strength of 2 spectacular touchdowns. One play, one of the best plays we've seen all season.
I think it's the best run we've seen so far in the CFL season. You know, sometimes you really struggle and find these technical points that make you look so smart. And other times you just got to watch a player and appreciate what he does. Watch these subtle moves. There's a nice little dip. Watch this acceleration right there. Breaks the tackle, cuts to the inside. A little bit more acceleration, cuts back to the inside. Now he reaches black, cut back to the outside, and there we go with a dive. That is an awesome run by John Avery. Heck with all the technical stuff. I like watching that kind of stuff every now and then, Matty.
Chelsea, you're killing me, man. I wish I would have seen you run like that sometime, buddy.
Oh,
you're killing me.
not likely.
I love watching that, folks. Watching this man just call a play like that. Ain't never done that in his life. I'll tell you what, I've never done this either. Eric Carter comes up and lays a tattoo on Jason Tucker, and I want to take a look at that again. Ricky Ray, this is called hanging him out to dry, folks. Oh! Ouch. And then not only does it affect Jason Tucker, but affects John Avery on the next play. Watch this. He knows what just happened. Right there. Oh, he's peeking. He's thinking, am I hung out to dry? No, just an incomplete pass. But a big hit like that from Eric Carter goes a long way. And, Jock, they are laying some hat out there, and it's going to be a ball game in the second half.
I think it will be a great football game when all's said and done. Now, Edmonton and Ricky Ray, they're having their normal, steady football game. But one thing I have noticed is that Ricky Ray is not spreading the ball out as he normally does. In fact, right now, Vaughn has 6 catches for almost 100 yards, which is more catches than all the other receivers for Edmonton combined. Now, this would normally concern me if a quarterback, especially a young quarterback, is focusing in too much on one particular receiver. It doesn't concern me in this particular instance. The reason is that, first of all, Ricky Ray has demonstrated, certainly to me, that he is very good at reading the field and finding the open guy. Second thing is, Vaughn's just second in the league with over 700 yards. The guy is a fantastic receiver. He's getting open. Why not give him the ball as much as he can handle?
The Edmonton Eskimos with a 2-point lead, 15-13, trying to win their 6th in a row for the first time since 1989. But you can bet the Lions will have something to say about that in the second half of what's shaping up to be a pretty good ball game on Wendy's Friday night.
This day in the CFL, brought to you by SportCheck.ca, Canada's choice for sports.
September 13th, 1992, the Ticats taking on the hometown Rough Riders. First quarter, Damon Allen is picked by Anthony Drawhorn, who takes it all the way into the end zone. Ottawa up by 10. Then more from the Roughies. Tom Burgess hits a diving Stephen Jones behind coverage. 30-16 Ottawa. The Ticats score when Damon Allen hits Wally Zatilny on this play. Lots of offense in this ball game as Ottawa goes on to win it 44-31. Welcome back. Friday night, time to check in halftime with Glenn Suter. We just showed the replay of the Jason Tucker taking the hit from Eric Carter. Woo. Oh, yeah, you must have loved getting one of those when you were playing.
Well, that's the one you dream for, is to have the guy exposed like that and knock him out and see if Tucker can bounce back.
The players all this season that Glenn have been playing without a CBA. They say it's all but done between the league or the owners and the players, but not so fast, right?
Well, you know, it's not a done deal just yet. Now, proposals have gone back and forth between the players and the governors for the last couple of months, but this proposal is different in that this one will be written up and will be presented to each team. Each team will get a chance to ratify the deal. It was the 3 issues, the 3 draw the line in the sand issues, you could say, for the players. To increase the minimum wage, they will get that. To increase playoff and Grey Cup money, they will also get that, which is a good sign that the league's moving in the right direction. But the real sticking point was the Canadian ratio. The governors wanted to drop it by 1. The players didn't want any part of that, and I think they have found the perfect solution to add the second designated import, a player that's an import, extra on your roster, but can only come in as a starter on offense and defense if he replaces an import player. So that does not affect the Canadian ratio. They say the process should take about a week, maybe into 2 weeks, but it looks like it is a done deal, although it's not on the table. It's to a vote at this point.
Well, it's nice that it's just about done. We don't have to worry about any silly things like strikes or lockouts or anything like that. Thanks, Suits. We'll listen for you in the second half.
Thanks, guys.
15-13, the BC Lions trailing the Edmonton Eskimos. Look at that catch by Ed Hervey. One of the many highlights from an entertaining first half on Wendy's Friday Night Football. Here are the halftime numbers brought to you by Moore's Clothing for Men. Well made, well priced, well dressed, Matt.
Very uncharacteristic of the Edmonton Eskimos, turning the ball over 4 times in that half. And thank goodness they did, because BC Lions, that's the only points they have are off of those turnovers.
Let's see what the boss of the Eskimos had to say. Tom Higgins speaking with Farhan Lalji.
Well, Coach, 4 turnovers in the first half, and you're still ahead. You've got to be pleased.
No, actually, you can't be pleased with turnovers. Turnovers are what'll lose you a football game or win your football game. We got to secure the ball a heck of a lot better than that. But you're absolutely correct. Anytime you can go in at half and you're ahead, now we just got to win the second half.
You also seem to have found a groove with the running game in that second quarter.
Well, John Avery can make big plays from any part of the field, and he made a nice long run, and I'm sure that'll make our highlight reel.
Coach, good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Did it ever, Schultze? Here it is again.
Well, watch it. Here he goes again. Nice little move there. And he makes some acceleration. Right towards the middle. Off to the back. Make everyone look flat. And here's the dive. Touchdown.
Yeah. The BC Lions could tie the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for second in the West with the win tonight. They've got Winnipeg at home next week. What do you expect to see in the second half, Matt?
Well, I expect the Lions to come out there and try to control the line of scrimmage, running the football. That's what Adam Rita told me he wanted to do prior to the start of this game. And if they do establish that line of scrimmage, Adam wanted some misdirection to help keep Alfred Payton at bay and look for a reverse there, Schultze. So I expect the BC Lions to go out there, try to control the line of scrimmage and move the chains, because they've got nothing going except for the turnovers of Edmonton.
Matty, good point, because Alfred Payton has been very close 2 or 3 times on big sacks, but I see a different thing. I see transitions in the game. Edmonton came out very flat. BC took it over, but then all of a sudden Eric Carter came in, popped one of those guys in the mouth. All of a sudden, BC took it back from Edmonton. I'll be interested to see who takes the game over physically, Jock.
Well, you're talking about taking it over physically, the line of scrimmage. If BC wants to do that, I think they need to use Millington and pound him up the middle. Don't be sweeping him out to the side. Get that running game going up. Get the diesel going north-south. Now, for Edmonton, I think Ricky Ray is using the long ball a little too much. He needs to get back to his controlled passing game. He was doing it very effectively there with Vaughn. He needs to keep doing that. Forget about the 50-yard bombs every other play.
Well, he also needs to get control of that transition from the snap to him, because, yeah, they've had a lot of problems with that, and we really haven't seen any problems with Ricky Ray in terms of him showing any kind of jitters at all, but he had a very shaky first half, putting the ball on the ground a couple of times as pressure got to him, but it's Ricky Ray and the Eskimos with the 2-point lead.
Well, Tom Higgins and the Eskimos roared back after falling behind 10-0 on the first 2 offensive sequences by the Lions. And now the Eskimos have the lead. Let's bring in Farhan.
Thank you very much, Coach. You took 4 turnovers away, and yet you go into the half with a 2-point deficit. Talk about the first half.
Well, they got 2 big plays on us, and we haven't had very many big plays on offense that we could capitalize on. We need to do that on offense. We got to play better on offense and special teams. We got to keep it up. And defense is going to have to continue doing what we're doing, because it's going to be like this for 2 more quarters.
Coach, good luck in the second half.
Well, and that means the pressure is squarely right there on the shoulders of Damon Allen.
It started real well in the first series. After that first turnover, put the ball in the end zone in a hurry, and then it started to go downhill from there, because a bunch more turnovers really just turned into 6 points. Should have been 14 more for the Lions. So that's what Adam Rita talked about at halftime.
Deonce Whitaker takes the kickoff to get the second half underway to about the 34-yard line, and Donnie Brady was there. So it's Allen versus Ricky Ray, and by 2 points the upper hand belongs to Ricky Ray right now.
Yeah, it does, but not by a whole bunch. I think both defenses have made a statement in this game. Bunch of turnovers from the BC Lion defense, and the Edmonton defense has been put in a bind a couple of times because of those turnovers and responded just giving up field goals. So both quarterbacks struggling a little bit in the first half simply because of the play on defense.
And Ricky Ray's errors were on exchange from center. Sean Millington behind right tackle. And he ran into A.J. Gass finally.
There's that first drive, the one touchdown, got off this big start. The fans were in it, and then you look down the list. Field goal off a turnover, punts, field goal off a turnover. And those are the points that you miss. Those are the 8 points. And rather than get the major, you get the 3. And that's what Adam Rita was talking about. Needs some big plays out of his offense. And when you talk big plays, sorry, John, you talk big plays, you talk Alfred Jackson.
On the other side of the field, the Eskimos unhappy about turnovers, but they do have the lead at this point. Millington picked up 7 on the previous run, and he'll have enough for the first down there.
It seems to me that Sean Millington, if he could take all the plays in his career where he was just tripped up, just like that, he would probably add another 10,000 yards to his total, because so many defenders try and tackle him low. They dive at the feet, and Millington is constantly trying to hurdle players rather than take them on. And it seems like at least 5-6 times a game he is just tripped up, or he has a big gain.
Measurement there will allow the Lions a little bit of a breather, particularly Sean Millington, who carried the ball on back-to-back plays.
Got to give full credit to this Edmonton defense so far tonight, who are playing without Shannon Garrett and Terry Ray in the lineup.
First down, Lions. Alfred Jackson to the near side. Allen looks the other way. Ryan Thelwell had it and lost it. They say no catch.
You know, he had it, and Malcolm Frank didn't give up on the play. His second effort, because Malcolm Frank was really caught in behind. He was a one-on-one on Ryan Thelwell, and Thelwell had the better position. It happened over here to the right of your screen. See the position that Thelwell has. He's inside. He's got the ball in there, but Frank doesn't give up with the right hand. He keeps working at it and finally forces that football out of there. No quit until the whistle blows. Your Pee-wee football coach will tell you that one.
This is 2nd and 10. Allen goes to the shotgun. Over the middle, and he missed his target by about 4 yards. Out at midfield, he was looking for Geroy Simon.
And I think he wanted Geroy Simon to step back towards the football. Allen was sort of throwing that one to a spot. And what he's hoping for is the Geroy Simon to come back towards him. Pressure in the pocket starting to collapse. The ball is thrown just in front of Simon, and right afterwards he said, come back, come on back to the ball, just keep coming back and we have a chance.
October back near the 30. Tony Martino has been punting well. October right on the 30, and he's met there, but flags are down. No yards will be the call, as Tony Walker was a little too close to Mr. October right there. Slow start for Ricky Ray and the Edmonton Eskimos as they look for their 6th straight victory, but things turned around after those initial 2 fumbles.
Exactly the opposite. Damon Allen started well and didn't finish well, and Edmonton started with the fumbles and finished with a couple of touchdowns in the second quarter.
After a no yards penalty against the Lions, the Eskimos begin at the 45, and they begin with John Avery. He had a 61-yard touchdown earlier, and another huge play for the Eskimos as he steps up at the 25. Carl Kidd had him cornered there, 40 yards for John Avery. So on 2 big runs, 101 yards for number 20.
Just the quickness and the cut right there to bounce to the outside. Now Eric Carter, a fast corner, has an angle on him, and he outruns that angle. He's finally forced out of bounds by Carl Kidd, but defenders are always taught to go to an angle in front of the running back and then come back towards him, and John Avery continually will outrun angles by defenders.
After the 40-yard gain, the Eskimos set up at the BC 25. Big hit there. That was Avery, the target, and Derek Lewis was coming from behind.
Lions started out well against John Avery until this play. 61 yards and about 4 big cuts for John Avery. We showed you the 2 touchdowns in the first half from Edmonton. This was one of them.
Has there been a better run in the CFL this season than that?
Oh, that's exciting to watch, I tell you. That is what John Avery's been hoping for. You know, during the week in that article we talked about, he said he hadn't played his best football, and he's been disappointed a little bit with his play, and that is amazing simply because he's jumped up the list so quickly. Played 4 less games than most of the other running backs, and yet is right there in the thick of things for the title.
No question, he's a game breaker. Eskimos 3 receivers to the far side of the field, looking at 2nd and 10. Ray from the shotgun, and that draws flags immediately. A couple are down. Officials here tonight wanted to send along their best wishes to Ken Pickett, who's in a hospital in Winnipeg.
Yeah, and so would we like to, because, you know, he broke his leg in a couple of places in the Winnipeg game, and in Winnipeg, the BC Winnipeg game, and is in hospital. He's gone for the season. He's got to rehab that, and we wish the best for Ken Pickett. And, you know, that's the toughest job in all of sports is the officiating, and generally speaking, they do a pretty good job. And our best wishes to Ken Pickett.
So get well to hurry, Ken. Here's Ricky Ray looking for the touchdown toss. It's picked off. And Hervey was the target. Tony Walker comes up with the interception.
He played it perfectly.
And again, it's the BC defense paving the way for the Lions' chance here tonight.
Catch the ball at the highest point.
Eskimos have the lead, but they've turned it over 5 times.
Tony Walker's tried influence here by Ricky Ray. See how he rolls that way and then throws back? Well, that was to influence Tony Walker and pull him to the middle of the field. He was in deep coverage in the zone, but he wasn't fooled by that. See, Ed Hervey also trying to fool him. I'm going inside now. He breaks back to the outside, and right over here, Tony Walker was not fooled, comes right underneath, and then catches the ball at the high point.
That's his 2nd interception of the season. Here's Damon Allen. May take off for the first time. Running on a tender hamstring, and Allen is down near the 40-yard line.
But it looked good. And that was really the first time that Damon Allen got outside and ran with the football. He's going to take off and go this way with it. And when he does, he gets outside of containment there in Kelvin Kinney, and then really does not limp or show any effects of that hamstring injury.
Got a nice block.
And that may be what the Lions need to start pushing the corners.
14-yard gain, first down, and then it messes up there. What did you see? Procedure?
Shoot ourselves.
Saw a little procedure on that left side.
Procedure. BC number 65. Still first down.
You know, and I had a nice conversation with Damon Allen yesterday at the practice facility and asked him about his hamstring and how bad it was. And he quite simply said, look, if I can't run like I normally run, I won't play, because I don't want to force the thing and hurt it even more. So he said, I'm ready to go. And but that's the first time really he's tested it running the football.
Picked up 14 yards and a first down. This is 1st and 15. Alfred Jackson the catch. And there's nowhere to run after that. Jackie Kellogg read it well. And number 5 for the Eskimos was over to make the tackle.
And that may look like maybe a bad decision from the play calling perspective to try and get that out to Alfred Jackson on 1st and a bunch, 1st and 15. And it's a play that didn't work real well because of the pursuit from the Edmonton defense. But this type of play can set up a deep play to Alfred Jackson. You use that hitch a couple of times, you get the defensive backs running up there in a hurry, and then you pump one to them and try and go up over the top.
This will be 2nd and 15. Allen on the roll, far side. Has Claremont, but that'll be well short of a first down. Eskimos are looking at a bit of a problem here. Steve Charbonneau just limped off the field, and they're a little shy of defensive linemen. So the adjustment that Higgins has to make if Charbonneau can't go in for the next defensive sequence could be a bit of a problem.
Well, Doug Peterson's not even here He's been hampered with injuries all season long. In fact, Peterson hasn't been able to practice all year. Steve Charbonneau limped off the field, but he's not receiving any medical treatment on the side.
He'll be back. You can just tell by his
the way he's coaching everybody up. Yeah.
Martino is in. Eskimos have the lead by 2 at 15-13. Martino has punted extremely well and chases October inside the 20. Well covered by the Eskimos on special teams. Just 2 on the return.
Ricky Ray has got in trouble in this game. He's gone to Terry Vaughn, and Terry Vaughn working on the 8th consecutive 1,000-yard season, and when he gets it, and I say when, the only thing that will stop him is injury. He will be all alone in that category. And he's made some tough ones over the middle tonight, a couple of hit screens, and he has been the guy for Ricky Ray. That's a tough one.
Lost the lid on that. Eskimos beginning back near the 20. Here's John Avery. Outside right.
This is the angle. Now, this is not the big run from John Avery, but remember the angles I was talking about? Brendan Ian-Badejo has a chance to really cut him off. And watch number 6 here to the left. He's got an angle here, and he thinks he has the correct angle. As he goes to the left, on that angle, you can see now all of a sudden the angle is cut off, and he loses contain. Now, if he doesn't have help from Anthony Pryor, John Avery's still running.
Avery picked up 4. This is 2nd and 6. Ray back in a hurry and on the money there. Ball squirted loose. And they'll call it a reception and a fumble. Terry Vaughn made the catch and then lost it on the way down.
They're still discussing things down there.
Well, that was the early indication, Glenn, and that's what they ruled.
And Manny Martin, and they are going to stick with it. But they did discuss it for a second. Manny Martin came up with it. It was Eric Carter, I believe, who came across the field and stripped it out of there. You remember when Malcolm Frank didn't quit? Well, Eric Carter's not going to quit either on this one as he comes across the middle of the field. And there's the strip with the right arm. Manny Martin, it bounces right to him. See, Carter's got to track him across the field. Now, he's in behind now, but watch, he won't quit. Strip that arm out of there. The football comes down on the ground. And they got the 6th turnover of the game.
Carter's having a whale of a night. That's a turnover by the Eskimos on the last 3 possessions to get to that total of 6.
Got to make something happen. Locking them down.
Nice night for Eric Carter, who gets another turnover going the way of the BC Lions.
See, Edmonton has found that soft spot over the middle, and they've hit Terry Vaughn a couple of times in that spot, but Carter didn't quit. Stripped the ball out of there. His teammate comes up with it. And you combine that with the hit he put on Jason Tucker early in the game, and he's putting together a pretty good game himself. Eric Carter, the veteran, on the corner.
Now the Lions may have to make some adjustments in the secondary. Anthony Pryor has been helped to the sidelines on the far side of the field. So another turnover sets the Lions up inside Eskimo territory, this time at the 49. See what Damon Allen can do with this possession. Close to a first down on a connection with Ryan Thelwell.
Whenever you get a new running back in the lineup, you wonder, you know, he comes from a background where he can run the football, but can he block in the passing game? Deontay Whitaker picks up Craig Powell right in the middle, just cuts him, and it's the up and over for Powell. Whitaker's not a big guy, 5'6", 176 pounds. That's a pretty good pickup on the blitz.
Thelwell, decent yardage, picked up 9. Millington will have the first down. And he's down to the 35, wrapped up by Donnie Brady, number 26. No markers anywhere. Sean Millington 381 rushing yards coming into this, and 10 touchdowns, 9 along the ground, and 1 receiving touchdown for Sean Millington, who's been bothered a little bit lately by a knee problem.
Well, John Avery is putting a show on for Edmonton. 134 yards for them rushing the football.
Slightly different style of runner, though. Very different. Millington and Avery, right?
Very different.
Deontay Whitaker is more the Avery type, but couldn't find much room there as Alfred Payton was waiting.
But you remember early in the game we talked about the Lions wanting to run at Alfred Payton because he was so quick to catch players from the backside. But that doesn't mean you're going to have automatic success if you're going to run at him. And that time Alfred Payton stepped up in the hole and wrapped up Deontay Whitaker immediately.
0 gain. The Lions offense has stalled a couple of times with golden opportunities tonight. Allen shotgun on 2nd and 10. Open target. This will be a touchdown. Jason Claremont bounced off a defender and hits the end zone as the Lions take the lead again.
That's why Jason Claremont has been compared to Ray Elgard.
Well, he grew up watching Ray Elgard as a young man born in Regina.
But that is Ray Elgard-ish.
The bounce off and
to
into the end zone.
To get smacked like that and just turn around and just walk in the end zone afterwards and look at those DBs and go, yeah, whatever.
Alfred Jackson says number 82 may have the best hands on this team. Jason Claremont has his 4th touchdown reception of the season, and the Lions took advantage of the 6th turnover by the Edmonton Eskimos.
Damon Allen knew he had a blitz coming from Jack Kellogg out of the secondary, so now he knows he has to get it in a hurry to Claremont. And that's where the Elgard in him comes through. Jason Claremont just running down the field, takes a huge hit from Quincy Coleman and is like, yeah, whatever, man. I'm in the end zone.
36-yard touchdown toss from Damon Allen to rookie Jason Claremont.
You see number 5, Jack Kellogg, right there? Pressure coming. Allen's got to get it out in a hurry. Claremont does the rest.
A little pinball action there. And Claremont is into the end zone.
Yeah, sometimes you're the flipper and sometimes you're the ball. And that time Jason Claremont was the flipper and the DBs were the ball.
Sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. We've used them all, I think.
Yeah,
now.
that's it. Well, that's a great recognition from Damon Allen, who saw the blitz coming, knew exactly where he had to get the football and did it in a hurry.
This is John Avery returning for the Eskimos after the Lions touchdown. Looks for room to the far side of the field.
With that throw from Damon Allen, he moves into another milestone, 57,000 yards passing. Now, when you look at all of pro football, Warren Moon, who played 23 seasons, 6 in the CFL, he's number 1 with 70,000, over 70,000. Marino will be caught by Damon Allen if he plays again next year, which he wants to, by Labor Day of next year. And then John Elway in 4th spot. That is an elite group.
Definitely so. Lions have a 5-point lead. The Eskimos try and respond. And may do it with John Avery. Penalty flag is down. Avery has plenty for the first down out across the 35 to about the 38.
John Avery didn't get hit till he was 25 yards down the field. Well, maybe not 25, but until he was way down into the secondary.
Well, he might be pretty close. Well, not quite. Holding will be the call. This one's coming back.
Maybe that's why.
Holding. Edmonton, number 83. After yards are gained. First down.
Well, that was down the field because that's Tucker, Jason Tucker, the receiver, who got called. So the point of attack was fine from the offensive line.
Eskimos will get a first down out of it with 3:17 to go till three-quarter time here in Vancouver. Great one going tonight. It's been back and forth all evening long. Ricky Ray had a shaky start. He's responded. Terry Vaughn lost the ball in his last touch, but hangs on here. He'll be short of the first down after picking up 6 yards.
It has been back and forth, and for that reason, this is an important drive for Ricky Ray in this Edmonton offense. And, you know, if I'm Tom Higgins or Danny Machocha, I'm saying John Avery's got to be involved.
13 of 21 for Ricky Ray thus far. Second down. Ray puts it deep as Tucker. Jason Tucker will have the first down. And Jason Crum made the tackle.
Well, guys, bad news for the BC Lions. Anthony Pryor is done for the game. I talked to trainer Bill Richelt. He said he's got an injured knee ligament in his left knee. They're not sure what ligament it is, so we're not sure if it's going to be a one-week injury or an extended injury, but either way, he's done for the day. And surprisingly enough, Toya Jones does not go into the game for BC. A recent cut of the Houston Texans. They're going to go with Crum on the corner.
That's Jason Crum. A flag is down.
Well,
as Avery is tackled.
This is second year for Toya Jones. It's his first game back, but Toya Jones last year played linebacker more than anything else. And if he does play in the secondary, it's more of an inside position. So that's why Crum now has to go to the corner.
Holding Edmonton, number 53. First down, repeat it.
Jason Crum out of the University of Saskatchewan.
And you know one thing, that the Edmonton offense will go right after Jason Crum, who will now be forced to go to the wide side of the field. He's going to be up here at this side. See a lot of Jason Tucker.
First and a bunch, first and 20. Ray got hammered as he was hit. And that one ended up on the BC bench. Tucker looked to be the closest Eskimo to the ball.
That's exactly where they wanted to go with the football, and if not for the pressure from the Lions, they probably have a play. Ricky Ray's in trouble because of that pressure. Noah Cantor doing a good job. Here comes Herman Smith played up the middle because Jason Tucker had a couple of steps on Crum on the outside.
Eskimos looking at second and 20. BC Lions have taken the lead here in the third quarter by 5 points. Crum is in for BC. Far side.
Going after
Scott Robinson.
They're going after him. That's the third time in a row they've thrown to Jason Crum's side of the field. You know, and that's going to be the target now. Can he come in there and stand up? He comes up and makes a pretty good hit there on Scott Robinson.
But then again, Glenn, this is second and 20, right?
Way over to the wide side of the field. He's the deep man, but he comes back and closes a lot of ground. The ball's dropped before he gets there, but he still would have made the tackle short of the first down.
So Sean Fleming is in. Chris Wright bobbles it. And really didn't get a good start. Well, Glenn Suter has brought along one of his old university roommates, who went on to greater fame and fortune after he left you, as I recall, Mr. Suter.
Yeah, much greater fame and fortune. It's our pleasure to introduce Jay Triano in the booth with us, the head coach of the men's national basketball team. Jay, how's it going, man?
It's going well. It's going well. Nice to be here. Nice to watch a nice CFL game that was blacked out in my local area, so I had to come out to the game. But
well, that's good.
Nice to
That's
see you.
We wanted to get you here tonight.
Absolutely.
Jay was a former roommate of mine. You know that Jay Triano tried to play football and was a very good football player, a good corner.
That was when you were a lot skinnier than I am, not right now.
So let me get this straight. You were on the corner, and he was a safety?
That's right.
And we
so,
were
I mean,
roommates.
isn't that the skill position? the guy on the outside, a little more skill out there?
I leaned on Glenn an awful lot at that time.
Jay, give us the latest on the men's national basketball team. What's happening lately?
Well, we just finished at the World Championships. So it was a little bit of a disappointing performance for us. So, but at the same time, we had a lot of young players in the lineup, a lot of guys playing on the national team for the first time. So they got some great experience, and we'll build from there.
Yeah, but the Americans can be beaten.
Absolutely. I
How
think
about that?
That was proven for sure. And I think that the more and more the NBA players will play for the different countries, it's going to be wide open as far as international basketball is concerned.
How close might we have been in this tournament as you look back now had we had our NBA players in?
Yeah, I think if Steve and Todd had played, we would have been a very, very good chance at getting a medal. And if Jamal McGlure plays for our country, I think we can be in the medal run on most times we play internationally.
I tell you, I've listened to Jay talk many times, public speaking events and things like that, and the men's national team is in great hands with Jay Triano running the show. I guarantee you that. Did you know, John, that he was drafted by the Calgary Stampeders?
Yeah. I got drafted higher in football than I did in basketball. That's a sad state.
And that is bad because you were a great, tremendous basketball. Simon Fraser University in the CIS this year in football.
Yeah, and a big game tomorrow night. They're 1-0 so far. And, you know, that's one of the other reasons I like to come out to the CFL games. There's a lot of SFU alumni out there, and it's nice to be able to come here and see you guys and be part of the broadcast.
Yeah, well, here it's terrific. It's just wonderful to see all the Simon Fraser guys learning to play three-down football at last.
Yeah, and that's exactly what. And now the next step is to get the high schools in this province doing the same thing. And Jay, we've got a barn burner going here.
We certainly do, and I think Avery's the guy that has turned it around. In the early turnovers by BC, they weren't able to convert on those, and that made it pretty difficult. But they've seemed to battle back here in the third.
He'd be pretty good color commentating on
Well,
football
he's got
too.
Yeah, now I'm worried. Now he was trying to take my job as a corner at Simon Fraser, and now he's trying to take it up here too.
Gain of about 4 for the Lions into the lead. It's 20-15. It's been a seesaw affair. Lions with an early 10-0 lead. Turnovers have been a problem for the Eskimos tonight, and the Lions have been able to capitalize. Damon Allen has looked smooth. Can he get away here? Lost the ball, and it's picked up by the Eskimos. One hop from going out of bounds.
He was trying to take that and throw the football left-handed. He's done it before this year, and when he tried to make the change, it came out of his hands.
Looks like a bounce pass in basketball to me.
Yeah, basketball, the ball is round. And in football, it's shaped sort of like an egg. They just don't bounce quite as well, Jay.
No, they don't. And it's unfortunate they lose the ball here, but I'm surprised he's even playing in this game. Most time that they have a bobblehead night, the player actually doesn't play. It happened 7 or 8 times in the NBA this year where they had players and a special night for them where there was a bobblehead presentation, and that player was either injured, never got a chance to play. But Damon Allen playing tonight, but not wanting to hang on to the ball there.
Buddy, thanks for joining us. Always great talking to you up in the booth. Good luck with the basketball team.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
This is Tucker, and sorry we didn't get into a few stories there about your days as roommates, but I mean, maybe another night.
You know, those are probably stories we can't talk much about anyway, but we were roommates on the road, and always great to talk with Jay Triano, SFU alumni, and doing a great job with the men's national basketball team.
It's been a big play evening for both teams when you look at what Avery has done for the Eskimos and what the BC defense has done the other way.
It's like which team can capitalize on the turnovers.
On first down, Avery has but a couple of yards.
You know, and that's really what this game is broken down to. We've seen some big plays from John Avery, like you mentioned, and Tom Higgins has also seen the downside, which has been a bunch of turnovers from his football team. But the defense so far has not given up the big major when they do turn the ball over. So Adam Rita is getting turnovers out of his defense, not capitalizing offensively. That's why the game is so close. Which team from now on in can capitalize on the mistakes?
This will be second down and 8. Ricky Ray has a strike, and he'll have a first down to Scott Robinson, who's played pretty well. Another of those SFU graduates coming home. Grew up in Maple Ridge, where he is a member of the Maple Ridge Hall of Fame, and that's an all-sport Hall of Fame, which includes Larry Walker and Cam Neely, and of course the late Greg Moore.
Well, that's quite a list. Scott Robinson on that list, and boy, has he really emerged. It's really his first year to get a lot of solid playing time and get in there and really make something happen. He's done it. 15 catches coming into this game. He's a possession type of receiver, but does have good enough speed to go downtown.
Has a couple here tonight from Ricky Ray. Should be the final play of the third quarter, with the Lions clinging to a 5-point lead.
Well, they're going to continue to go out here on Jason Crum, see if he can hang on up top in that wide side corner.
Ray barely got it away.
Wow, did he ever? He barely got away with his life.
Brent Johnson put the pressure on the Eskimo quarterback there. We're in for a great finish with 1 quarter to go, and watching the Eskimos with big plays tonight. And the BC defense along with Jason Claremont. Pretty good evening so far.
So as we get ready for the fourth quarter, the Edmonton Eskimos are trying to do what the BC Lions have done tonight, and that is take advantage of some turnovers and score some points. 17 BC points off of 6 Edmonton turnovers, the last being that touchdown they just showed there to Jason Claremont.
Oh, you got to love Jason Claremont. Not only does he have soft hands, Alfred Jackson says he's got the best hands on the team. That's high praise from your veteran receiver, leading receiver. Here's Jason Claremont sitting down in the zone. Damon finds it, throws a strike. And he says, get off of me, Coleman. You can't hit a big man like that. Slot back to 6'3", 230 pounds. Jock, I love those guys. I used to throw to Gerald Wilcox, Gerald Alphin, Jan Carinci. Even yourself, you're a big man, 6'2", 240? 245?
Getting there.
Getting there. You got to love those big guys. I know Damon likes seeing him there.
Yeah, no, he's playing great this year, absolutely. Now, at halftime, I talked about what the teams might need to do, and I said to Ricky Ray, give up the long game. Let's go with a short passing game. Did he listen to me? No, he didn't. First drive, he goes deep, winds up with an interception. This has got to change, and in fact, he did change. Ed Herbig goes inside, takes an inside release to try and give himself room to the boundary. Not a bad idea, but what that does is it allows the safety to get over and make the play. Taking an outside release, that doesn't happen.
Hey, Jock, the Edmonton Eskimos or BC Lions are doing a great job of getting to Ricky Ray, and they're doing it through confusing the offensive line of Edmonton. Watch here, Noah Cantor on the inside, Herman Smith on the outside. They're going to run a nice little stunt. Noah's going to really take the block of the center and the guard. Then all of a sudden it opens up for Herman Smith right there. And the whole offensive line on the left-hand side, you know what they're saying right now? Hey, you got him? No, I got him. No, wait.
You take him.
No, you take him.
Hey, look out,
No,
Ricky.
I've got him.
Look out,
Watch out,
Ricky.
Ricky. And bang, there it goes. Hey, you can do it physically and you can do it by confusing them. Right now, BC's doing it by confusing them.
And right now, BC has the 5-point lead as we head to the fourth and final quarter.
All right, guys. Lots of excitement at the stadium at BC plays tonight. Looking at 2nd and 10 Edmonton. Ray stands in, fires on the money. Will he have enough for the first down on the catch by Ed Herbig? Spot could be rather important to both teams here.
Well, John Avery's been the difference when it's the Edmonton Eskimos' time. You can see the yards that he's racked up right here with 150, and that's why they're up over 300 yards in net yardage. But 20 points for the Lions off 6 Edmonton turnovers. And it's still just a 5-point game.
6 inches necessary for a first down. And not a big decision to make for the Eskimos here. I don't think there's any question that Tom Higgins is really having the time of his life in football these days. He wasn't thinking about heading back to coaching necessarily, but the opportunity presented itself. And you're looking at a 9-2 record right now. He is having a good time. Huge play for the Eskimos right now. 3rd down and inches, no flags anywhere. They'll move the chains.
Yeah, it is, and you breeze through a couple of the bios for the coaching staff and the players, and you take a look at them throughout the season, and I went back and looked at Tom Higgins again quickly, and then I saw where he came from, and people talk about him as an old school style of coach, and when he was in college, Tom Higgins, up to North Carolina and played under Lou Holtz. He was a captain of a team that won 4 bowl games. North Carolina was the first team in about 10 years to beat Penn State. Lou Holtz, that's legendary. Lou Holtz.
Big time stuff. Edmonton first down from the 15. Gotta love the way John Avery runs with the football every time he gets his hands on it, averaging 5.7 yards a carry.
You know, and the thing that I think makes Avery that much better and maybe more special is the best way to say it, as far as a star in this league, is that he conducts himself professionally on and off the field and is very media friendly. And, you know, some will say that's a small thing, but this is our game and people want to talk to their stars, and CFL players have always been very good at that.
Huge drive for the Eskimos in a 5-point game. The touchdown toss is a little too far. Rick Walters was the target, and there's a marker down in the end zone.
Eric Carter is trying to say that that ball was not catchable to Ricky Walters. And that's exactly, if you can read lips, what Tony Walker said.
Well, they hate the call here in BC.
Well, you see the football, and that
6 yards out of bounds.
Yeah, that ball bounced outside the second white line, not the white stripe. You see 13, Ricky Walters going to the sideline, and he gets ready now. He gets tripped up by Walker, no question, but that ball bounced out there. Ricky Ray saw the flag. That's why he's excited.
The ball on the play. The ball was uncatchable.
Hey, they've gone back. They dropped another flag to announce.
You know,
exactly what you were saying, and they got it right, and that's terrific.
And that is terrific. And that what they did is they called it for interference first, because there was definitely contact made. Ricky Walters went down. But then after the conference, what they do is they say, well, was that ball catchable? Now, if you see this one coming in the frame, here comes the ball right there. There's the football. It bounces right out here. No way Ricky Walters, even if he catches that ball, is in bounds.
Now, didn't Walters go down too because feet got tangled together? Or was he?
It would have been illegal contact. But they waved it off, and a good call by the official.
So the Eskimos settle for a 20-yard field goal try. Sean Fleming, he's got that. And Edmonton gets 3 points closer. Great finish guaranteed at BC tonight on Wendy's Friday Night Football. Another great week of football ahead on ESPN Classic Canada tomorrow. How about Boston College against Miami from 1984? You might recall that one. It's been talked about.
Was Mr. Flutie in that game?
That was Hail Mary.
Mary answered.
First down. Lions lead is cut down by that Eskimo field goal. Brett Anderson, his biggest play of the night, all the way to the 40-yard line. Caught by Kevin Powell, the linebacker, getting back there.
This play works because Damon Allen has time for Brett Anderson to get outside of Powell. He can work to the outside and get through all the traffic in the middle. Watch the time. Play action. He goes 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. Time. Here's Brett Anderson. Got him. Damon Allen continues to add to those numbers all time.
Lions have a 2-point lead at 20-18. First down Allen after a 33-yard gain, and this is Claremont. More than halfway to another first down for Jason Claremont. Kevin Powell getting over to make the stop there with Jerome Peterson.
We showed you where Damon Allen over 57 yards pass, 57,000 yards passing, put him in third. But then when you look at the all-time attempts from the top four, you may think that, well, Damon Allen is up in that category because he's in the CFL and they throw more. But in fact, in about the same amount of time between Marino and Damon Allen, Marino actually threw the football more than Damon Allen did by over 1,000 attempts. Now, Marino never had a 1,000-yard running back when he played, but Damon Allen has got those numbers with less attempts than Dan Marino.
Picked out, bouncing out of Jackson's hands. And the Eskimos have a turnover. Quincy Coleman right into his mitts.
And that will go down in the official stat book as an interception for number 6. But that was touched by Jack Kellogg, and when it was touched by Jack Kellogg, it distracted Alfred Jackson, bounced off his hands, a little change of direction there. He couldn't hang on, and Coleman came up with the pick.
Eskimos have turned it over 6 times. The Lions have now turned it over 3.
Yeah, they just keep handing it back to each other.
2-point game with 10:52 to go here in the 4th.
Which team can capitalize on the turnover?
First down, Edmonton. Here's Avery. Outside right. Grabbed by Baron Simpson. Nice night for John Avery, to say the least.
Well, is it ever? I mean, 13 carries. That's some kind of average for John Avery. His best game of the year so far was versus Toronto, 161. And on this pace, he's going to pass and blow by that one. By the way, after that Toronto game, it was the second best rushing game for a running back in the Canadian Football League. At that point, Willie Hurst was the first.
Avery again on second down. On first down, I should say, had 10 yards in the previous carry.
And that's why, you know what, Tom Higgins is in a perfect situation now, because he's got John Avery going. And John Avery, it was just a matter of time before we'd see his stuff. And then he's got Ron Williams in the wings. And defensively now, this is where the Baron Simpsons, Cameron Legos, and that front 7 have to buckle it up.
This will be 2nd and 3. Avery again, and he's stuffed this time. Tyrone Williams, 96, was waiting, and so was Cameron Legault.
9-2 record for Tom Higgins. The only 2 losses this season were road games. It's been tough on teams on the road this year in the Canadian Football League. When you get in your home park, every team wants to protect their own territory. It's like a wild dog wants to protect his territory, and that's what you try and coach your teams, that when they come into our house, they don't come away with a win.
Fleming on 3rd down. Nice punt. Deontay Whitaker. The Lions have not had any sensational returns on punts so far tonight. Damon Allen will start deep in his own zone on Wendy's Friday Night Football when we return. We await a BC Lions first down. Jason Claremont has a touchdown for the Lions, and they'll begin near the 21-yard line.
One of many players from the CIS who just, CIS seems to get stronger and stronger every year, and you can see the great names on that list, including Jamie Terrace out of Western.
And we began our evening with a Western victory over Laurier. Hope you enjoyed that a little earlier. Here's Alfred Jackson, plenty for a first down.
You know, and the Edmonton Eskimos also with a nice group of players that have come through the CIS and gone on to professional careers. Leo Groenwagen out of UBC.
A lot of universities represented on the Edmonton grads.
And Chris Morris, another solid veteran in that offensive line.
Celebrating his 34th birthday today, Chris Morris. Damon Allen.
You know, it's interesting, though, with the Canadian ratio, and it always seems to be a topic of discussion, usually around CBA time when the new collective agreement has to be renegotiated. And it is difficult to find quality Canadians for the owners, and I understand their concerns, but it certainly is one of the reasons, and I think the governors would tell you that too, that this game is unique and as special as it really is to this country, and Canadian football keeps growing, is because of the Jason Claremonts and the Chris Morrises and the guys who've come up through Canadian college football, and coaches. We're starting to see more and more coaches at the CFL level, which is great to see.
Billington on 2nd down. He picked up 7 on his previous carry, and he'll be a little shy here, about a yard short of a first down. So this could be interesting.
Just to wrap it up too, that was Millington on the carry, and we showed you the Simon Fraser grads, and you made the good point, John, and I think it is a good one, that for a long time Simon Fraser played in the NAIA, tried to get in NCAA, couldn't do that, and is now in the CIS playing football for the first year this season. And I think it's fantastic, and it would be nice to see the provinces that aren't playing Canadian rules football at the high school level or the pee-wee level even should start, because that's how
it's about time now.
Because that's how the young players learn this game. So that I, for instance, never played a down of Canadian football until I got to Saskatchewan, growing up here in BC, and you need to learn, and that's where the quarterbacks especially will develop the passing game if they can do it at a young age.
Winston October standing back at his 23-yard line. Tony Martino hammers another one. So October is chased back to the 15. Will he have room to the outside? He's found a lane. Nice return. Jason Crum stopped it there. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football, a special CIS CFL doubleheader, and there's a long way to go in a 2-point game here right now. Lions have had to make some adjustments after cornerback Anthony Pryor was shaken up in the third quarter.
Well, they've got Jason Crum in the game to the wide side of the field. Now that puts more pressure, believe it or not, on the ends up here. It's going to be Craig Powell. Whoever lines up on Crum's side of the field has to contain Ricky Ray. If he can get outside and put the pressure on Crum, the Lions could be in trouble.
Less than 7 minutes to go in a 2-point game. Ed Hervey the catch, far side.
It works in conjunction when you're trying to, in some ways, protect the corner like that. The pass rush from that side of the field. Now, Jason Crum is a backup safety, and you got to admire him from going out there on the island and trying to hang in there. And so far, he's done pretty well. But that puts that pressure again right on those ends. If those ends up here, if they lose contain coming off this edge, then Crum now is in a one-on-one with Ricky Ray, having lots of time to throw the football.
First down for the Eskimos. And Craig Powell limits John Avery there.
And that was a play designed to set up just that. Yeah, the ball went to John Avery, but watch what Ricky Ray does after the fact. He wants to try and get outside and see if he can get a one-on-one on Crum. And they may develop this. See, there's the ball. Now, Avery's got it, but you see how Ricky Ray kept coming around? Ricky Ray is trying to set up a chance to get outside of containment so he can get Jason Tucker, Scott Robinson one-on-one on Jason Crum.
Avery picked up 5, 2nd and 5 for the Eskimos now. Less than 6 minutes to go. Ray had trouble, got it back. Chased down, and he might have the first down. Greg Powell had a bead on the Eskimo quarterback.
You know, Ricky
Ray escaped, sorry.
His rushing totals in his starts this season really have only amounted to 89 yards, about a 4-yard average, but he showed deceptive speed outside here. Powell had a bit of an angle on him. Showed deceptive speed to get outside the angle and then dive. And you look down the field after the fumble, and then the defensive backs really clamped on. You see really no room in there to throw the football on the run. So Ray had to get what he could, and he got the first down.
He has the first down near the 50-yard line. 5:46 to go. Lions have the lead. 20-18, and it's up to the BC defense right now. Cantor and company up front, Legault alongside, and Irvin Smith.
Stopping Avery on first down is very important to those 4 that you mentioned up there, especially number 51 in the middle, Baron Simpson.
Eskimos first down. It's a noisy place, BC Stadium right now. They get to him. Ricky Ray is dropped.
Noah Cantor.
Noah Cantor was there.
Yeah.
Brent Johnson as well.
Cantor was working on Dan Comiskey, and just, again, second effort on a bull rush. He's right in here, and he's just going to keep moving and then finally work back this way, and when he does, he just knocks down Ray, taking his man back, pushes him right into the quarterback. Dan Comiskey is on a bit of roller skates there.
Huge play for the BC Lions, forcing a 7-yard loss, making the 2nd and 17. Heat will be on again. Ray gets it away this time and can't make a connection with Terry Vaughn.
Ray's been hit a couple of times as he's throwing the football, and That time Barron Simpson got such great depth that he distracted Vaughn enough. So far, that's been the soft spot. Watch how, first of all, the pocket will collapse. Ricky Ray has been looking for the soft spot in the middle of the zone, intermediate area. Barron Simpson has been worried about John Ivory, so he's been tight. This time he gets deep. Look how deep he is in the drop. Right in front of Terry Vaughn, who was about 15 yards down the field.
And the 7-yard loss forced by Noah Cantor forces Fleming back inside his 40. Chris Wright. And well covered again by the Eskimos on special teams, led by A.J. Gaz. 4:17 to go. We're in for a great finish.
It will be.
4:07 to go at the stadium at BC Place. A great one tonight. Critical game for the BC Lions to stay in the race in the West. Deontay Whitaker. And he was met by Jack Kellogg. Just a yard and a bit there.
Over 57,000 yards tonight. Not all tonight. 241 of them tonight.
I want to see that game.
57,000 yards, an 18-year career for Damon Allen, of course, #1 in the Canadian Football League.
Now he looks at 2nd and 9. No catch. Tight coverage. G-Roy Simon. And Jackie Kellogg was with him stride for stride. Kellogg has had a nice night.
You know, he has. And he was the guy who really created the Quincy Coleman interception when Alfred Jackson stopped it. And what's interesting about Jack Kellogg is when he was cut loose by Wally Buono in Calgary, the word was that he couldn't cover and that maybe he had to move to safety. And then Jack Kellogg in Edmonton has really been up in the line of scrimmage and covering the third receiver all season long and done a nice job all season long against guys like Milt Stegall and Daryl Mitchell and that time G-Roy Simon. So kind of cut from one team because he couldn't cover and put in here and is covering as good as any of the defensive backs in Edmonton.
Winston October has this one bounce away and it trickles inside the 30. Flags fly as the Lions were all around the kick returner. It'll only be a 5-yard penalty, however. 3 minutes to go. You ready for a big finish?
Bring it on.
Here's our game story. John Avery has been a huge part of it.
Well, that's the best total for a running back in the CFL this season. 107 yards rushing. He's not done yet.
That 61-yard touchdown run was amazing. Vaughn has 8 catches. Damon Allen, another milestone. And the Lions have turned turnovers into points. A little option play here to Avery. Nice burst of speed.
The Lions.
Craig Powell was there.
The Lions have turned turnovers into points, but I don't think it's going to be enough points. 20 points will not be enough to win this game. I just have that feeling with 2:40 left.
Well, Adam Reed agrees with you. He is not feeling comfortable right now.
It really comes down to Barron Simpson against Avery on first down and then receivers in secondary on second.
This is 2nd and 6. Far side, and Ricky Ray is on the money. Jason Tucker out of Texas Christian.
The rancher.
He is a cowboy, isn't he?
Jason Tucker is a cowboy. He has a 600-acre ranch just outside of Waco, Texas. In fact, just 20 minutes from George Bush.
Yeah, not far from
the George Bush
where
ranch.
The president hangs out. So that's like very safe territory, one would think, if the president's in the neighborhood.
200 head of cattle. And I asked him, do you jump on the horse and actually round them up? And he said, well, we round them up, but we don't use horses anymore.
Yeah, they ride the ATVs. Here's Terry Vaughn. It'll be another Eskimo first down. The Lions have to be careful here.
And this time the cowboy goes out and helps out his teammate, and that's by throwing a block. So my next question was, okay, so you don't get on the horse. So do you wear a cowboy hat at least when you're on the ATV? And he goes, No, I don't have a cowboy hat. And I said, okay. I said, hang on a second, man. Like, you got to have the hat on, you know, the cowboy hat, the 2 gallons there.
That's 10 gallons now.
Yeah, and then I said, well, do you listen to any country music? He said, that's pushing it.
Here's Avery again. John Avery continues to run wild. Another 6 yards there.
Well, he so far, and he keeps adding to the totals, but John Avery has the best performance in the CFL this season. Willie Hurst had it coming into this game, of course not dressed for the Lions. Willie Hurst had a 164-yard game for the BC Lions this season. That was number 1 until tonight. Hurst has a shoulder problem and is out of the lineup.
Eskimos continue this drive, looking at 2nd and 5. BC leads by a couple, and the ball squirts loose again. The Lion defense coming up with another huge play.
I think Chris Morris
got it back, but that may take the Eskimos out of field goal range.
They caught a big break in a whole bunch of field position because Chris Morris was alert. Pressure coming up the middle. Ball is on the turf one more time for the Edmonton Eskimos.
And the birthday boy rolls on it.
I think it was Herman Smith that just went past it.
Well, will that be enough for the BC Lions? Eskimos are forced to kick it away on 3rd down and 14.
Well, the Eskimos have done almost everything they can so far to hand the game to BC with all these turnovers, but BC just won't take it.
New returner in there, G-Roy Simon. He knows how to get the job done. Best return of the Lions on kicks tonight. G-Roy Simon. And that might just be enough to do it. Mike Bradley made the tackle. Huge play, BC.
Well, it is because they were looking at a field position change of about 45 yards, and because of that return from G-Roy Simon, who gets a nice picket fence to his left, picks it up here, and watch him take off that way. As he goes to his left, here comes the fence lined up 1 block right there by Tony Walker. Herman Smith gets the crackback block, and it's 1-on-1 with Sean Fleming.
Who did Smith lay out there?
I thought that was Craig Powell.
35-yard return. Lions at the 40 with 1:46 to go. Early movements.
This is a freebie for Damon Allen.
Looked like the Eskimos were a little quick. Thelwell with the catch. And a penalty marker down on the tackle on Damon Allen.
This is going to be, that was a freebie for the Lions, and there's going to be a late hit on Singor Mobley on Damon Allen after he threw that ball. So here's Damon Allen, the play action, rolling outside containment. Boy, did he ever fool that Edmonton defense. There's the play. And behind that, Singor Mobley hit the quarterback after the fact.
Well, get your calculators out here. That's 33 yards for Thelwell there. And they're marching off a few more.
Offside. Edmonton number 93. Decline.
2 or 3 steps.
Major
Ear
foul.
hole. Damon Allen. They protect the quarterbacks and do once more.
First down.
So that yardage is tacked on. But don't rule out Singor Mobley. That mistake, I guarantee you, he will make up for. Because that's the type of player that Mobley is.
That is 47, but in reality, the big play is the catch by Thelwell for 33 yards. A minute 37 to go. The Lions are in range for 3. Sean Millington. And the Eskimos were waiting. Just a couple there.
Now Singor Mobley real slow to get up at the bottom of that pile. You see him limping around, and to lose him would be devastating at this juncture. 1:33 left. And if he stays down on the turf, he has to come out for 3 plays. That's why he's up and trying to walk it off. As soon as he goes down and the training staff has to come on the field, he's got to go for 3 plays.
Now, do you wonder if Eskimo quarterback Ricky Ray had a slightly injured hand coming into this game. I mean, with the number of difficult times he's had this evening on the exchange and hanging onto the ball.
It gets hot and humid in here too, and this is the biggest crowd of the year, which adds to it. And they've had problems getting the handle. Could be his hand.
2nd down and 8. Play action fake. Damon Allen. He'll get to the outside himself, but a marker is down as Allen heads to the end zone and gets there.
Think it's coming back.
I'm afraid so. Just because it was fun to watch.
Kelvin Kenny. Steve Harden was involved.
Holding. BC number 25. 2nd down repeated.
Well, they're calling Millington. Steve Harden was over there as well. Kelvin Kenny was on the rush for the Edmonton Eskimos. He's lined up right in here. Millington in the backfield. Well, Adenetto looked okay. Millington just really turned Singor Mobley around. Watch Millington to the left of your screen. He gets to play action. He's right here. Now watch him. Does he do anything? See, I don't think, well, he did get his hand on him a little bit to turn him inside.
So from a 20-yard run to the end zone to a 2nd and 20 situation for the Lions with 1:23 to go. Allen throwing on the run. Got one hand.
Oh, baby.
On it down there was Claremont, and there's no penalty marker, and BC fans thought there might have been.
That one almost off the hand of Claremont into Malcolm Frank's hands. First of all, it's a nice job of getting outside of containment. Steve Charbonneau is the guy who's going to get caught. As Allen with the fake, Charbonneau gets caught 93. He's picked up by Terrace. That gets him outside. Now watch this. Frank off the face mask.
You wonder what is running through Matt Kellett's head. 2 for 2 tonight. This will be a 37-yard field goal. He's got it off the post and in.
Oh boy, got to bounce.
We watched an evening of incredible horror for Matt Kellett, looking back to the early part of the season where he missed all the field goals, or missed most of the field goals, including a game winner. He's bounced back to hit on 65%, but he had to be thinking about early in the season here.
Certainly did. That was versus Toronto. He went 0 for 4, including having a chance to make it for the win. And when kickers go through games like that, you wonder if they're going to get a bounce or two down the line, and Matt Kellett just got his. And he'll take it. That's big 3 points for the Lions.
Huge. It's a 5-point game. But the Eskimos have a chance to go here. 1:12 remaining. Ricky Ray at the controls for Edmonton at 9-2, and Ray missed that one.
You know, John, you mentioned his hand.
I just wondered on the exchange a couple of times.
And that ball didn't come out of there at all like Ricky Ray has thrown it this season. It looked like it died. Now his throwing motion was hampered a little bit because Chris Morris was standing right there. Close to 61%.
This place is loud now on 2nd and 10 Edmonton. Ray stands in. And Vaughn can't make the catch. Baron Simpson was back there in coverage. And Vaughn has made some nice catches tonight and led the Eskimo receivers.
Well, when you look at this Edmonton team, the reason they've been 9-2 is because stuff like this just hasn't happened all year. Their most reliable receiver, Terry Vaughn, has done that. I've counted twice tonight.
And he did fumble one.
In big-time plays. Now they've got to go on 3rd and 10. Just haven't seen that out of Edmonton this season.
Play of the night for the BC Lions, looking for their 6th win of the year. Ray will have a first down, and this game will continue to have a little bit of excitement with lots on the line and 55 seconds to go.
And that's fantastic of the quarterback to go right back to his receiver, and he knows one thing, that you keep going to this well and you're going to come up with the water very soon.
Terry Vaughn will not to continue to put the ball on the ground.
Eskimos down by 5, need a touchdown to win. First down, Edmonton. At the Eskimo 50, low snap, he got it out of there. Near side, and almost picked out. Kepley got it. You check the sidelines, Eskimo assistant coach Dan Kepley
officially
came up with it on a deflection.
One of the greatest linebackers in CFL history, officially one of his first offensive catches as a pro. One hop, Kepley, alert.
Oh, one hand.
That is as casual as you can be.
How about that, Kep?
He's intense right now, though, I'll tell you that.
2nd and 10, Edmonton. 37 seconds to go on the stadium clock here. Far side, and the Eskimos come up short of the first down, but get a completion to Scott Robinson.
It's got to be Wendy's Friday Night Football have to finish like we've had. It seems like every Friday night the two teams provide this kind of game for us, and Ricky Ray has tons of time with 32 seconds to run his offense now, but every time you get into a third down gamble, you're one drop away from the game being over.
Well, at 23-18, the Eskimos can't use field goal situation here. They need a touchdown. Ray over the middle, and third down. No flags anywhere. It'll be a turnover, and the evening would appear to be over for Ricky Ray and the Eskimos.
Well, it will be, because now Damon Allen can kill the 16 seconds. And there's not a lot Tom Higgins can do about it. And they battled. The amount of times the Edmonton Eskimos put the ball on the ground, the turnovers, 7 for Edmonton in this game. Somehow they managed to stick around and make it close. They battled. But the Lions probably needed to win more.
Well, they definitely needed to win more. When you're looking at the Eskimos record at 9-2 coming in, BC at 5-6, improving to 6-6 with this win, and leaping past Saskatchewan
for now.
Pending the outcome of this week's activities for the game in Regina Sunday afternoon.
Well, you know, it was such a good back and forth game, and a game that could have been won, went right down to the final seconds. But individually, you know, when you look at the performance, Tom Higgins has got to say John Avery was just outstanding tonight and a very exciting football player to watch. And we don't do this very often. In fact, I can't recall one time yet this year, but it's such a close game. I think we give the game ball to 179 yards rushing, even though it wasn't a losing effort.
I can't disagree. Brought to you tonight by SportCheck.ca, Canada's choice for sports. The game ball goes to John Avery, and I have not seen this year in the CFL a better run than this one. 61 yards for the touchdown. You can watch again.
It was as pretty as they come from John Avery. And when you saw the intensity in his face and the disappointment through this loss, you know that 179 yards means less to him because of the loss. But what an individual performance.
Lions did need the win. We thank John Avery for that run, however, to keep it a close game right down to the very finish.
And it's a close West Division now.
Wendy's Friday Night Football on TSN is brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's Classic Double with Cheese is made fresh right when you order it. It's better here. By Molson Canadian. I am Canadian. And by Moore's Clothing for Men. Well made, well priced, well dressed.
Long night of football on a Friday night here on TSN. Had some CIS action, then some CFL action. Both games were close. This one won by the BC Lions, the final 23-18. It just wasn't Edmonton's night. Right from the start, they had the dropsies, the fumbles going on, and ultimately it cost them.
Well, I think that's exactly what happened. I think Edmonton lost this game. Not to say that BC didn't win. I think they did some good things. I thought Damon Allen played very well. He got a lot of support from his receiving core. Millington was effective on the ground. But the story of the game has to be the fact that Edmonton turned the ball over 7 times. An amazing 5 fumbles, 1 interception, and of course the turnover on downs near the end of the game. And so I think when Edmonton looks at this game, they're going to wonder, gee, how do we stop putting the ball on the ground?
Well, the BC Lions have been a very advantageous football team all year long, being at plus 12 in the giveaway takeaway ratio, and they'll leave tonight's game leading the league in that category with 16. They had 3 turnovers themselves, but we know Edmonton had the 7. To me, that's the difference. When you go on the road, you cannot afford to turn the ball over. BC took advantage.
Matt, I thought it was a good little bit of psychology from Adam Rita in the extent that he went into this game saying, hey, we have won 5 games, we have lost 6. The Edmonton Eskimos, they've won 8 games. They've only lost 2. Hey, they should beat us by 100 points. Well, the first quarter of the game really dictated the whole game because BC out-hit them early, and that is what caused a lot of those turnovers, David.
A 178-yard rushing performance by John Avery goes out the window. Our next game is going to be on Sunday. The Toronto Argonauts in Regina to take on Danny Barrett's Rough Riders. Join us then, won't you? 4 Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time. The next edition of the TSN Sports Center is coming your way at the top of the clock. Jay Onrait and Jennifer Hedger will recap the day in sports. The story in Vancouver was the BC Lions gutting one out and getting a win against the leaders in the West. Thanks for watching, everybody. You are watching TSN.